Oh my god!
Welcome, everyone. You know what it is.
Fucking reality show. Fucking bullshit.
Let's get it started.
All I gotta do is hit it? That's a sensible solution. Kick the top of a volcano. The idea of each board is to destroy all the monsters. Here we have Mogra and Gazora.
Hum-dee-dee-ho.
Are you kidding? Mogra and Gazora?
I was kind of looking through what I did, and I'm kind of hitting that point
They
where I
have
don't like
two
it that
monsters
much.
That weren't even originally from a Godzilla movie. Of course, Mogra appeared in Godzilla.
I'm
vs.
hitting
Space
the,
Godzilla, and their stock
it's
footage
not,
of Gazora
the
in
potential
Godzilla
isn't
Final
there,
Wars. But those movies
so
didn't
maybe it's
happen
time
until
to
way
ditch,
after this
but
game.
I'm gonna do my best to
I
not
found a
do that,
glitch where you can just keep hitting Mogra
I'm gonna
with
keep
your
going.
tail. Look at that.
to finish it,
So easy.
but it is definitely a little
What happened?
disappointing
There's a time limit?
that
Yeah, so if you
despite
take too long to fight the monster,
attempting
you
to
gotta
learn how to
start
draw
over,
for so
and the
long,
monster
I
regains
am
some of its life.
still
You know,
having moments like
the worst
this,
part, after you defeated Mogra and Gazora and go the next stage, guess who's next?
especially when I'm looking
Mogra
at
and
other
Gazora.
art from
Yeah, they
like
just keep recycling
decades
the same
ago.
monsters, but
That
add
just
one
feels
per
like
stage.
it's better
Like here
than
we have
mine.
Baron, another obscure monster that appeared in its own movie, then made a small cameo in a Godzilla film. Engaging the monsters in battle is awkward. Will you fight the enemy? Yes. Will you fight Gazora? Yes, that's the enemy, right? Other times, you don't want to fight the enemy, but it doesn't take no for an answer. No. Damn it, I said no! Then there's times when the game thinks you're trying to move and the monster's blocking your way.
Damn,
Like,
I found
yeah,
this fucking
there's the
Slayer's
monster. I
Dojin
wanna
from
fight him.
1997.
Throughout the game, the choice of enemies gradually
It's really
becomes
nice.
more what you'd expect. It goes from Baragon and the Smog
style is
monster
nice.
to Gigan and Ghidorah, but Ghidorah is tucked away in a corner, so you'll be lucky if you get that far. Here's Mecha Godzilla. Now that's what I'm talking about. Almost got him. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna beat Mecha Godzilla.
That fucking time limit! That motherfucking shit-sucking time limit! It's not even like there's a counter. It's like the game just pulls the plug. Like, oh, you're gonna win? Well, not anymore, you ass-bag, fecal fucker, shit-shaped anus brain. The game cheats. That's it. That's all there is to it. The game fucking cheats.
But we're not done, because there's a sequel, Godzilla 2. This one's gotta be way better, right? I mean, they experimented with the first one, little trial and error. Now it's time for some improvement. I mean, sometimes you gotta take a nasty shit before you can take a better shit. What is this? This doesn't even look like
Okay.
a Godzilla game. This is just as much of a Godzilla game as SimCity when the monster attacks. You don't even get to play as Godzilla. You're the military. You just move tanks and planes around like a fucking board game. When you go to battle mode, it sort of goes into an RPG style. You each take your turns attacking. Whether or not you hit or miss depends on the outcome of a slot machine. Yes, a fucking slot machine. I don't even understand how this whole thing works. But one thing for sure, you'll never be lucky enough to match up all three. You might do minimal damage at best, but the monsters keep regaining their energy. But not you. The music in this game is so horrible, they actually have an option to turn it off. But when you turn off the music, it turns off the sound effects too. So what's the point? You might as well just mute the fucking TV. You thought the first game was bad? This is an insult to the first game. This shouldn't have been called Godzilla 2. That would be like if the NES had a Ninja Gaiden 4, but it was a puzzle game. You don't pretend this is a sequel when it's not even in the same category. Should have been called Godzilla Strategic Operations Simulator, or Simzilla. Well, I'm afraid to say, but let's check out Godzilla on Game Boy. Okay, this looks promising. The demo shows the monster roll call. They all look great. Godzilla looks okay, his head's kinda messed up. Looks like that thing in Empire Strikes Back that comes out of the asteroid. But let's see how the game looks. Are you fucking joking? Godzilla looks like the dragons from Bubble Bobble. You're going around climbing vines, pushing rocks, and hitting monsters with a boxing glove that Godzilla spits from his mouth. How could they do this to the king of the monsters? They might as well have Godzilla in a clown suit jumping on a pogo stick.
I'm not even gonna waste my time with this shit. The best way to sum this up is to recite a very famous quote from William Shakespeare. Fuck it.
That always got me
Over to
back
Super
then.
Nintendo, we got Super Godzilla. Ooh, now we're
Fucking-
bringing Super
Oh,
into
I
That
get
means
it.
we're not
I
playing
get
around
jokes.
anymore. Time to get serious. Ooh, the year 1990X. They narrowed it down to the decade, so I guess they were a little more confident with the date on this one. The graphics are nice. It looks like what you'd expect in a Godzilla game. But the gameplay is a totally different story. You control Godzilla, who's represented by a blue dot on the map screen. The top of the screen is just for show. So playing as Godzilla, you'd want to be destroying buildings, right? Well, here, the buildings drain your health. That makes no sense. Godzilla destroys buildings all the time. That's what he's good at. That's like if Mike Tyson couldn't punch anybody without hurting his hand. When you engage the enemy monster, it goes to a battle screen. Now this looks like the Godzilla game I've been waiting for. But no, not quite. Because it's unlike any fighting game you've ever played. The on-screen instructions don't make any sense. There's 2 stamina meters, which they refer to as fighting spirit. They say to hold down the enemy's fighting spirit, then punch to open up Godzilla's attack window and pull back quickly. So let me try to summarize. You get close to the enemy, you punch him, then you go back and hit L and R to choose an attack. They don't tell you that, do they? They don't tell you you're supposed to press L and fucking R. Why is it so hard to have 2 monsters fighting without it being a fucking Einstein project? I'd hate to say, but I still prefer the NES version. At least that one's easy to understand how to play it. By this time, I gave up on Godzilla games. If they couldn't get it right on Super Nintendo, then all hope was gone. My wish was just to have a traditional tournament fighter featuring all the Godzilla monsters. Well, my wish was half granted. The Godzilla game of my dreams was actually made, but only released in Japan, which means we're gonna have to play it on the Super Famicom. It's called Godzilla Kaiju Daikisen. It's bittersweet to finally play this. Today, it's nothing special, but back then, I would have loved it. It has most of the monsters you know from the movies. They all have special moves, the backgrounds are recognizable, and the music is there. It's fucking Godzilla. But the whole tragedy of this, and what I'll never forget, is that Nintendo Power teased me with this game. Issue 72, May 1995. Coming soon, Godzilla, Destroy All Monsters. When I saw this page, I shit my pants. A Godzilla tournament fighter? Oh my god, I can't wait to play this. Never again was it mentioned, and never could I find it in stores. Only in Japan, only in Japan.
15 years later, I'm still pissed. All I wanted was a great Godzilla game, but my childhood passed me by, and I never got it. But nowadays, there's plenty of Godzilla games. Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee, Godzilla Save the Earth, Godzilla Unleashed. This is after my time. I don't know anything about this here PlayStation 2 and Xbox shit, but I'm gonna give it a try.
Monster Fight.
It's so weird to see him talk about the PS2 and the Xbox like they're fucking baby like they're like fucking new age baby toys. And all of those systems are over 20 years old now. I feel old.
Why couldn't I have those games when I was a kid? God damn it, I was born too fucking early. Instead, I have to grow up with these miserable pieces of shit fucking anal jugs. These games suck Baragon's sweaty ball sack. I'd rather get an electric shock from sucking Mechagodzilla's mechanical wiener. These games are shit, drizzling out of the smog monster's rancid putrid a-hole. And then being swallowed and barfed up by Angerus while I lay on his spikes getting Gigan's buzzsaw up my ass, while Desodroya dumps his diabolical diarrhea all over my face. Man, it's just a bunch of fuck. It's a pile of cunt. Fuck, shit, fuck, cunt, fuck. God damn it. I just said fuck from the bottom of my heart, and I said every curse that there is. There's nothing left. So you know what? Somebody's got to invent a new curse word. I think I got it. This game, these fucking games are... Oh yeah. It's that bad.
Ah.
What can you say about Wayne's World? It's one of the movies that defined the early 90s. It makes fun of all the cliches that were going on at the time, and it only gets funnier every time you watch it. Now, of course, there had to be video games. This is Wayne's World on the NES. It's hard to imagine what kind of material there is to work with. The movie's about two guys who run a show from their basement, and then a sponsor comes, tries to steal the show, and the rest is just a bunch of jokes. So how do you take that and make it into a game? Let's find out.
Okay, there it is. That's how you make a Wayne's World game. Just have Garth running around with a laser gun shooting stuff. That's real creative.
Not.
Look at this madness. Walking drums, floating hi-hats. Get it? Because Garth plays drums, he goes into drum world. What kind of idea is that? The graphics make me want to hurl. It's as bland as a kindergarten coloring book. Orange walls, purple floors. Garth is almost completely white, like they didn't have time to color him in. This looks terrible.
It certainly does suck.
The music, I shit you not, is just a 2-second loop being repeated over and over.
It's giving me a headache.
The layout is a joke. Even in the most linear side-scrollers, you still have to figure out which is the best way to maneuver. Like, should I go up on this platform or should I go underneath? But here, you can just
Oh no.
keep walking right.
I can't help you, Patrick. I've already eaten my own arms.
I know nothing about video games.
No!
The next level, you're Wayne. But this is where the game gets incredibly difficult. Because Wayne can't do anything other than this awkward kick. Of course, Wayne is well known for his martial arts. You You can't kill anything unless it's right next to you. Most of the time, you get killed first. And then you go
Yeah, I
back
gotta
to the
clean up
guard
my
stage.
fucking boxes
That's it.
too.
You die once, you start over.
It's just
We'll
too
try
much
harder,
shit.
Okay? Just give us a second chance.
There's a bonus.
I am
stage
very
in the
sad
third
that I
shot
cannot
where it looks
complete
more like
my-
an eyeball factory. You're just going around collecting
my
donuts. But I can
stand
never
of
figure out
Stream
how to
Deck
get the donuts in the middle.
without
And whenever you jump
these.
down,
I
you
need to
hurt
get some
yourself.
magnets,
Everything just sucks.
but they do
Right now,
fit.
one of the cutscenes, well,
I believe.
Cutscene very loosely, but anyway, they're talking about going to the bands playing at the gas works, and they mentioned the lousy Beatles. In the movie, it was the shitty Beatles. It's a shame they can't use the word shitty in a Nintendo game because shitty is the best word to describe this whole thing.
But
The
yeah,
enemies
they
are
do.
the
They
most
do. They do
cliche
fit.
you could
Thankfully.
possibly think of. When would Wayne and Garth ever be fighting spiders and ninjas? Who cares, right? As long as
Yes.
the game says Wayne's
Oh,
World,
this
kids
will
want
be.
it.
It will be very good.
There is clearly no thought process going on behind this miserable mess. Just make a game based on a popular movie and shit it into the stores.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
Yeah, it's sad.
Talk
It
about
that
some
hasn't
8-bit
changed. That's
frustration
one
right
thing that
here.
hasn't
I
changed
hate
since the
this kick.
90s.
You have to time it perfectly. God. What are these things anyway? Just floating TV screens? Not floating TVs, but floating TV screens. Jeez, Wayne is just completely worthless.
I'm just gonna stay here and lick the cat's butt.
Oh, look what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna jump over there and the spider's gonna kill me.
The hell with this game. I can't say I expected it to be good, but this is just a maximum catastrophe of ass. Take it away, Garth.
You're not gonna believe this, but there's another one.
But
On
it'll.
the Super Nintendo.
This stand will come together quite nicely once I
The only difference
get
is
the
that we're going
fucking
from 8-bit vomit to
$14 in
16-bit
parts I had to buy.
One is just as bad as the other, but without the original gag reflex one gets from eating dog shit that's
But
been
it'll be
blended with
nice.
goat piss.
Ah, yes. It's a lot like Star Trek, The Next Generation. In many ways, it's superior, but will never be as recognized as the original.
It starts with Wayne and Garth doing a top 10 list of worst video games. The Iron
But I'm kind of at that point
In
where
this game, Wayne's trying to rescue Garth, which is already a disappointment not to be able to play as
I
both
feel
of
like
them.
my
That's
drawings
like Bill
are
and Ted
bad,
with
and
just
there's
Bill,
nothing I
or
can do to
Beavis and
fix
Butthead
them.
with
They
just
just look
Beavis.
shitty.
Wayne looks like a bobblehead. Your weapon is a guitar that shoots sonic booms, and the environment is once again constructed from different pieces of musical equipment, instruments of all kinds, even bagpipes, and amps that shoot lightning. You'd think by now they could have come up with a more original idea.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
The voices are redundant. Every time Wayne gets an item, he says excellent.
Excellent.
And every time he gets hit, he says not. That doesn't make any sense. What is he saying not to? Usually the word not follows a sarcastic statement. It's like explaining it to Borat.
This suit is not black.
No, not has to be the end.
Okay.
Okay.
This suit is black nut.
But whether or not these voices are used in the right context, it gets incredibly aggravating to have to hear the same thing over and over again.
Excellent.
Maybe it would have been cute to hear it one time, but who thought it was a good idea to program it like this? Are they mental?
Get the net!
The controls are awful. You can't shoot while ducking. You can accidentally jump up to a higher platform, and when you try to land on things, you have to be at the right angle or else you fall through. After a little bit of time, you start to get used to it, as if your brain begins to flick the shit switch and adapt to its bad controls.
It's like a new pair of underwear, you know? At first it's constrictive, but after a while it becomes a part of you.
But even after I've overcome the crappy learning curve, still I can't pass the first level. Talk about non-linear. This level is a maze. I can't even figure out where I'm supposed to go, let alone survive.
We're not worthy! Well, I can't beat the first level, so I'm done with this game. Well, There is a code.
I did not realize that. Russell, did you realize that?
No, I did not realize that.
So we might as well put in the code and take a peek at the rest of the game.
Game on!
Yeah, game on.
The second stage is at the diner. Apparently either Wayne got shrunk down in size or everything is giant. This doesn't have anything to do with Wayne's World. Did they think they were making a game of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? And everything's alive. Coffee cups, donut men. What's going on here?
Hey, Mr. Donut Head Man, who's trying to kill you? I don't know, but they better not. Oh, that's not good. I'm not happy.
Oh my god, he's got one of those
Guess
hockey
the boss is
pencils.
Would you expect anything
I
different
haven't
than
seen one of those in
giant donut?
years.
The music in this stage is real familiar. Is
Do
this
they still
supposed to
even
be
make
Foxy
those?
Lady?
They do.
Sounds kind of like it. Maybe they couldn't get the rights.
Wow.
Denied.
It also has
Oh,
the all-time
fuck,
worst butchering of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Wait, that's a fucking Walmart link.
Stage 3 is the Gasworks. Remember Wayne's annoying
God, I
ex-girlfriend?
remember those.
Well, she makes an appearance in this
Holy
game.
shit.
Several. What, did she find a way to clone herself? What kind of bar is this? What kind of bar would put their arcade machines up on ledges where no normal person could reach? What bar would have fire shooting out of the floor? The main enemies you face are laser shooting disco balls. That's original. My favorite are the darts. It's like people are throwing darts and you're getting in the way. You wouldn't believe the boss. Seriously, take a guess who the boss is. A giant disco ball? No. A giant pinball machine? No. Some generic bar guy? No. The answer is Elvis. Elvis is in a Wayne's World game.
Thank you very much.
Isn't that weird?
That's weird, man. That's weird.
Could it be any more out of place? Doesn't Wayne's World exist in the 90s? What is Elvis doing there? Does he have to talk so damn much?
Thank you very much.
The last level is a neighborhood that's been sucked into purgatory. I guess. I'm just making that up. It's a bunch of homes floating in the clouds. How else would you describe it? The layout still finds ways to throw you off. What's blocking me? A pole that's in the foreground? Shouldn't I be able to walk behind it?
I'm being shit on. That's all, shit on.
There's a deranged hockey player who doesn't even look like a human being. But what is a human being according to this game? Someone with a bobblehead? Or someone who looks like some kind of cartoon monster? The last boss of the game, are you ready for this? A gelatinous cube that swallowed Garth. Now this is funny because as random as it is, this cube was actually mentioned in the movie as an arcade game at Noah's Arcade. But I never thought in a million years I would see the gelatinous cube in a real-life game. The ending is just another cutscene with Wayne and Garth. It's the same sort of thing you see between the levels, so it's nothing special.
This game is only slightly better than the NES version, but both of them make you wonder, what were they thinking? You know what I'd like to do?
Yeah, I know what you'd like to do. You'd like to find the guy that did it. Rip his still beating heart out of his chest and hold it in front of his face so he can see how black it is before he dies.
Actually, I think I'm gonna hurl.
He didn't even try with that one. It was just like fucking water. Alright, we gotta actually...
Time for Halloween again. Now this time, I'm giving myself a break, and I'm going back to one of my favorite video game franchises, Castlevania. It never stops. The same way Dracula keeps getting resurrected, I keep finding these games just creeping into my subconscious. The same way the Belmont family has to keep putting evil back in its place, I'm cursed to keep doing game reviews and constantly mentioning Castlevania.
Say from the Castlevania kind of reminds me of a Castlevania. It's like in Castlevania,
The Castlevania.
So once again, it's like Castlevania.
I talk about it all the fucking time. So what the hell, let me just get it all out. This is gonna be a big-ass Castlevania marathon with my own perspective. This is Castlevania, how I remember it.
It's the Nintendo age. I'm sitting on my ass playing Super Mario Brothers when my cousin comes over and says, "You want to play Castlevania?" Instantly, it triggered images of Dracula in my mind and of all the frightening horrors that lurk in the dark. We popped that evil son of a bitch in the Nintendo and bam!
Wow, that actually kind of came out pretty good.
What can you say? It's side
For a hand.
2D action at its finest. Now keep in mind, NES was in its early years, so I was still getting used to games that consisted of more than one screen. When I got to the giant bat, I thought it was Dracula, but nope, just the first level boss. I still had a whole game ahead of me. Not only is it a culmination of our classic gaming sensibilities, but of all the horror cliches. We have mummies, hunchbacks, and the Frankenstein monster straight out of the Universal movies. It also reminds me of the Hammer horror films with all its gothic scenery, and it draws from Greek mythology too, like the Medusa. Even the Grim Reaper makes an appearance. Death himself takes orders from Dracula.
This game is simply a masterpiece. I love it. Well, I never said it would be easy.
I am prepared to talk about the more frustrating aspects of the game, but first I want to discuss the more quirky moments, just those funny fantasy video game elements that are usually taken for granted. One thing I never understood, after you defeat a boss, an orb comes down and you have to touch it. What's the point? Couldn't the next level just start right away? Why do I have to touch an orb? And besides, what the fuck is an orb anyway? Just a glowing ball? Another thing I want to know is who is the architect for this castle? All these blocks and staircases have no rhyme or reason. How about all these candles? They're everywhere. But the Simon Belmont, that's common. You see a candle, you whip it, and hearts come out.
If I were to whip a fucking candle, would hearts come out? I'd like to know. Oh, shit.
In most games, hearts replenish your health. But in Castlevania, they're basically ammunition for whatever weapon you're holding. In the second game, the hearts are currency. So in a nutshell, the hearts in Castlevania games are anything but health. The only thing that replenishes your health are food that Simon conveniently finds in the walls. I always thought it was a roasted turkey or a carved ham right out of a Tom and Jerry cartoon. However, the instruction manual says that it's a pork chop. Okay, well that's a pretty big pork chop. Who cooked it anyway and hid it in the fucking wall? And if you were Simon Belmont, would you eat an old pork chop that you found in a wall? It must be fucking dirty.
I do have to say, that would be convenient. If all I had to do was just whip the wall when I was hungry, this wall would break. If there's a fucking pork chop in this wall, I would so eat it.
Now let's talk about the difficulty. I don't think anyone would deny this is one of the hardest games ever made. And it's all because of one simple problem. When Simon gets hit, he jumps back. You could have full health, but just because there's a pit behind you, you're dead. It's a severe handicap that fucks up the entire game and the rest of the series. Then there's certain enemies that just piss the shit out of me. There's hunchbacks which jump all over the place. I used to think they were monkeys. And then of course there's those enemies that just fly across the screen, like the Medusa heads and the bats. The hardest part in the entire game, besides Dracula, is the hall right before the Grim Reaper. You have Medusa heads coming at you from both directions, and 2 knights throwing axes at 2 different altitudes. I mean, look at the pattern going on here. Anything that hits you drains a quarter of your health, so that means 4 hits and you're dead. Oh, but the knights take 9 hits. 9 fucking hits. You can't even concentrate on attacking them because you're too busy dodging Medusas. But you can't dodge the Medusas because you're too busy dodging the axes. But you can't dodge the axes because you're trying to hit the knight. But you can't hit the knight because the game's driving you fucking crazy. It's like a test. It's a test to the shit. When you get to Dracula, don't even bother fighting it until you stock up on hearts. Go back down the steps, come back up, and all the candles are back. Rinse and repeat. This is extremely tedious, and nobody feels like doing it, but if you want to stand any chance against Dracula, you're gonna have to. Dracula may not seem so bad at first, especially after you send his fucking head to the moon, but then... oh my god. What in the unholy name of ass is this fuckness? Oh wait, that's not a word? Well, it should be. So you fight the evil cookie monster. Your health is never replenished, so this whole thing is like an endurance round. If you took 1 single hit on Dracula, I say your chances against the cookie monster are up a rat's ass.
Yeah, it took me 20 years, but I finally got this game beat. Your mother!
And you still gotta get the orb? Oh, you're gonna replenish my health right after I beat the game? Thank you so much. Dracula's castle crumbles, and then come the credits. Trans Fisher? It reminds me of Terrence Fisher, the director of many of the Hammer horror films. That's a funny coincidence. Oh wait, Bram Stoker? Like Bram Stoker, the author of Dracula? Well, Christopher B?
Is it a joke? I don't get it. Are they saying Christopher Lee is like a bee? No, it can't mean that. This is probably just a series of strangely coincidental typos. Belo Lugosi, Boris Karloff's, they're just fucking around. Love Cheney Jr., Mick Shreks, Green Stranger? Is this supposed to be funny? Like, just to take a celebrity's name and change it around? That's like if I took the name Steven Spielberg and called him Steven Gielberg. Like, that's not funny. That's kindergarten level. No, kindergarten students don't find that funny. Aliens don't find that funny. Well, anyway, that's Castlevania for you. Good game, but holy fuck is it hard. Now, as promised, we're going to plow through the rest of them. All the old school Castlevania games. The ones that I grew up with. Not that one. Next on our list is Castlevania 3, which in many ways is the true follow-up. No, I already reviewed that game. So anyway... No. Stop. Stop. Stop! This game is the unholy fuckness. You probably remember it as my first game review, That was 5 years ago, before I took on the regular duty of playing shitty duty. Back then, I wasn't as hardcore.
5 years
I used
ago.
the code,
Oh.
I skipped over a lot of the games.
Oh.
So now it's my second chance, because I'm going to do it for real this time. I only...
Uh-oh.
Game review. That was 5 years ago, before I took on the regular duty of playing shitty duty.
2010.
Back then, I
Ugh.
wasn't as hardcore. I used a code and I skipped over a lot of the game. So now it's my second chance, because I'm going to do it for real this time. I only scraped the surface off this smelly turd, and after that, it really starts to stink.
Just to clarify, though this game is terribly flawed, it still has a lot of nostalgic value for me. The graphics and the music are fantastic, and it still has that Castlevania atmosphere. Oh, then there's parts like that. Why is it necessary to interrupt the game like that so often? You need hearts to buy stuff, and when you die, you lose all your hearts and you have to start from scratch. So if you're trying to buy something, your best bet is to stay in one spot that you feel safe and just keep killing the same enemies over and over. I mean, what fun is that? When it's nighttime, you're just totally screwed because the stores are all closed. So the only thing you have to do is just wait for daytime and chase zombies around. Ugh, get over here, you fucking zombie piece of shit. It's times like this when you get real bored, you find glitches, like at the door. Why does the holy water just stop? For some reason I always found that amusing. I could do that for hours. This is the first Castlevania game to adopt a non-linear style, where you have to roam around and explore. It's a neat idea, just not executed too well. The whole plot is that after Simon destroyed Dracula in the first game, all his body parts were scattered into different mansions. Now, Simon has to rid the curse of Dracula once and for all, and to do this, he has to go into each mansion and throw a fucking oak stake at an orb. You now possess Dracula's rib. Or wait, possess? Possess? Are you kidding me? Well, anyway, it's boggled my brain to no end. How is anybody supposed to know to throw an oak stake at an orb? So I found this one clue. It reads, a symbol of evil will appear when you strike the stake. Gee, that really helps. Couldn't it at least mention, like, where you're supposed... A pair? A pair? Does anybody proofread this shit? It only goes to show how much effort they spent on the game when they can't even get the fucking text right. The text itself seems to be one of the main issues. Not just spelling errors, but the information too. It seems like they're giving you clues, but they never make any sense, and most of the time they're just flat out lies. In adventure games, especially RPGs, getting clues is a big part of the game. So as a gamer, you're inclined to regard what they say as true. After all, why else would it be in the game? To confuse the shit out of you, that's why. The part that's disturbed me the most is that when you walk in this house, you find this old creepy bitch sitting on the floor. Looks like roadkill with a mop on top. She says, let's live here together. Okay, fine, we'll just live here. Yeah, so, nice place. To sum things up, reading anything in this game is just as useless as the guy in Zelda 2 who says, I am error. That's why this is what you call a Nintendo Power game. Of course, there's the wall, where you have to select the red crystal, kneel down, and then wait for a tornado. But that's just the beginning. There's a part where you have to go under a lake. I can just barely see the platform, so I get the idea that I'm supposed to go down there. But if you touch the water, you die. You have to select the blue crystal, then you kneel down for a few seconds, and then you can go through the water. Who the fuck is supposed to figure that out? There's another spot where you have to go into a cemetery and drop a piece of garlic so you can get a silver knife. Who's this person in a robe who waits in a cemetery for someone to come by and drop garlic? So there's the cryptic parts, but then there's parts which are just plain annoying. Some of the jumps are outrageous. Oh, man, get up there. Then there's these blocks. It doesn't look that hard. It seems like you could just hop on over. But if your timing isn't 100% accurate, your jump doesn't reach. I'm gonna try again. Oh, this game is poopy. The most annoying enemies in this game that I never forget are the blobs. They just bounce all over the place. You can't get away from them, especially if you're on the stairs. Oh, what? Let's take a look at that again. I'm on the stairs, totally defenseless. The blob knocks me off and I fall through the fake block. That is so fucking cheap. The most annoying hazard in this game is water. Seriously, water? Why is that such an issue? Oh, come on, that wasn't even on the same screen. The last thing to mention are the bosses. There's very few of them, and let me tell you, they got lazy with these bosses. I mean, real lazy. You know how hard the Grim Reaper is in the first game? Well, if you do, then wait till you see how hard he is here. Damn, I'm lucky I got past that Grim Reaper. Then, of course, you walk through an empty castle to fight the easiest end boss in video game history. And there you have Castlevania 2. Well, that was a mouthful, but we should conclude this episode with the last of the NES trilogy, Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. In this game, you take control of Trevor Belmont, an ancestor of Simon's who battles Dracula for the first time, making this game a prequel. It goes back to the basic style of the first game, but has two main innovations. The first thing, you often come to a fork in the road where you get to choose which path to take. The other thing is that you get to play as other characters whom you meet along the way. There's Grant, who climbs on walls, Sypha, who has magic spells, and Alucard, who can turn into a bat, but you need enough hearts to do it. Alucard happens to be Dracula's son. The name Alucard's Dracula spelled backwards, and it came from the 1943 movie Son of Dracula.
Announce Count Alucard.
D-R-A-C. What are you mumbling about? Nothing, just a silly idea hit me.
With these innovations, I think it's the best Castlevania game on the NES. But it's also the hardest. There's a stage where the screen keeps moving up. If you're caught at the bottom, you die. What kind of logic is that? In Trevor Belmont's world, what killed him? The TV screen? So you can't waste any time. You gotta keep going up. No, what the shit was that fucking nonsense? Tell me that's fair to make you have to hurry only to have knights appear out of nowhere. Your greatest hazard in this game is not pits, not water or spikes or anything like that. It's the stairs. The fucking stairs are your worst nightmare. If you're next to the stairs and you try to use your special attack, the attack doesn't work. Instead, you go up the stairs. Look at this. Like, God, get down. I want to attack the knight. Oh, God, get off the stairs. Oh, God, you're defenseless. When you're on the stairs, your ass is fucked. How about the floor? Let's make the floor a death trap too. Okay, that's fine if you want to play shit like that, but how in the holy goddamn mother shit fucking Christ of cunt fuck am I supposed to attack the enemy when the fucking floor's falling down? Did the game developers expect you to be some kind of miracle multitasker? Thank God for Alucard. See, I can cheat too, you rotten bastard. Oh, and when you're using Sypha's freeze spell, whatever you do, don't freeze the enemy projectiles. That was a disaster. And that's the way this whole game is. It's just an ongoing train wreck.
This fucker's got no mercy. This is the reason why Game Genie was invented. But I'm not doing that because I'm gonna do this legit. Now where's that extra live code?
Help me. That's it. The spell help me. Isn't that the most appropriate password you ever heard? Because anyone who plays this game, that's exactly what you're thinking. I've made it to Dracula, but never beaten him. Wherever you stand, 2 towers of fire come up, trapping you, while another tower comes up in the middle. How are you supposed to dodge that? It gets you every time. The worst thing about this is that when you die, it doesn't start you back at the stairs. No, not like the other games. Instead, it sends you all the way back to the beginning of the stage. It's fucking relentless. And Dracula has 3 forms. You're telling me you have to make it all the way through the stage and fight 3 forms of Dracula without any fucking continues or power-ups? Are you mad? How are you supposed to do that?
Okay. Oh, nope. Forgot the hand.
If there's any game that puts you in a bad mood, it's Castlevania 3. You know? Like, if you want a game that'll piss you off, putting this game in your Nintendo is like running open-armed out into a rainstorm of piss. You want to go balls to the wall? Well, there's one way to put your balls to the wall, and that's to stick your dick in an electric outlet. You want to play shit tennis with an orangutan while having your head up a hyena's asshole? Well, good luck. Well, that finishes off the Castlevania trilogy. But there's more memories to be shared. Because Dracula never dies, Halloween is going overtime, it's a Castlevania-thon. Oh! Oh! This game is like playing shit tennis with an orangutan while having a hyena's head up your ass. Or your head up its ass. And
When the 1980s came to an end, the Castlevania trilogy was already etched into my mind as classic. It was the archetype of both the action and horror genres, and a masterpiece in side-scrolling games. Roughly at the turn of the decade came the 16-bit era. I had no idea that it could actually get better.
This is the right one.
In
There's the
1991,
left one.
Castlevania made its transition to the new Super Nintendo. But this wasn't just Castlevania 4. Oh no, this was Super Castlevania 4, and well worthy of that title.
There it is.
The graphics and sound just blew my fucking balls off. The haunting and chilling atmosphere of the old games was now like a walk through the park with the Care Bears. This time, I was really getting scared. At the time, this must have been the greatest opening to any video game yet. The fog keeps rolling in until it envelops the shattered gravestone and almost seems to be creeping into the room itself. And then, of course, we have the game. Oh yeah, this is where it's at. The graphics give a supreme demonstration of what the Super Nintendo could do. There's not 2 levels that look alike, and the attention to detail is exquisite. The first time I played, I didn't even notice that skull in the background. If you look close enough, you can see bats flying out. There's a stage where the background spins, giving you a 3-dimensional effect. Then there's the room that rotates 2-dimensionally, and you have to hang on to your whip. It gives you a feeling of disorientation that I hadn't felt yet in a game. But the best advantage, the most important thing that they improved here, was the control. The choppy stiffness of the earlier games, gone. Now, it's fluent and perfect. You can whip straight up, down, or in any direction. That's 8 directions you can whip. If you hold down the button and fuck about with the D-pad, you can do all kinds of tricks. It doesn't have much purpose, but it's pretty cool. Being able to whip any way you want makes it easier to attack enemies while you're in midair. Not to mention, when you jump, you have more ability to control where you land. You can even move while crouching. The control is perfect. And that's the key word here, control. You feel like you're in control. It's almost like Simon Belmont can do anything, even moonwalk. It's as if you are Simon Belmont and fully immersed in the game. That means that the difficulty isn't all about stiff controls and cheap deaths, but this time in genuine, fair challenge. For the most part. As far as the story goes, it's more or less a remake of the first game. Some fans might have been a little disappointed that there's no other playable characters and it goes back to the linear style, but that's how I like it best, straightforward and simple. The replay value is high for me, and I'd pop this fucker in any day. In its final stages, it plays the music from all three of the NES games. It's like nostalgic memories of a Nintendo game within another Nintendo game. That's it, the perfect Castlevania game. But what will come next? We had a sequel, a prequel, and a remake. Which direction could the series go after this? At this point, my expectations were soaring in the heavens, and I couldn't wait for Castlevania 5. This is where the disappointment began, and forever kept rolling downhill like a ball of dog dookie down a muddy slope. I opened up the pages of Nintendo Power, and there it was, Castlevania Dracula X. I said it out loud to myself.
Castlevania Dracula X. I wondered, why not just call it Castlevania 5? Well, that's what I thought back then, but if only I knew the original Japanese title, Devil's Castle Dracula X Rondo of Blood. Just rolls right off your tongue.
The original version on the PC Engine would be unknown in North America for years to come until it was eventually released on the PSP. The Super Nintendo version is often seen as a butchered port, but I think it's a decent addition to the series. In this game, you take control of a new Belmont named Richter. He's not quite as skilled with the whip. Once again, you're restricted to only whipping in a horizontal manner, a major downfall from the previous game. Throwing special items on the stairs, once again it's a little tricky because you have to use the D-pad. Unlike the last game, which conveniently used the R button, this time you're back to the NES control of using up plus the attack button. However, you do have a backflip, which can come in handy sometimes. But for the most part, you're ill-equipped to deal with the unfair challenges. The distances you're expected to jump are stretched so far that the only way to make them is if you jump from the absolute edge, as close as you can possibly get without falling off. The frustration in this game is back full fucking force. Every level is an endurance, and you'll be begging for a pork chop all the time.
Super Castlevania is pretty ass. You know, I have a copy of it that I bought for my brother for his birthday one year. And then I think I was like, you know what? This is a really nice box copy of Super Castlevania. I should hold on to this. And then I got him something else. And every year, I have that as a backup in case I can't afford to get him a real gift. So, eventually, he will get that copy of Super Castlevania.
On PlayStation in favor of the next Nintendo console. I was sure that the same way the Super Nintendo impressed me so much,
still on the shelf.
The Nintendo 64
I'm
would
looking
come
at it
along
right
and do
now
the
next to
same,
Yoshi's
delivering
Island
the
and
next best
F-Zero.
Castlevania.
I don't have
my
too many
balls blown
boxed
off by awesomeness once again.
Super Nintendo games.
There were two games, one simply titled Castlevania, and the other Castlevania.
I have way
Legacy
more
of
boxed
Darkness.
N64
They were both
stuff.
released the same year and share the
But
same
that's just
style
because
of
I
like Mario and Zelda, Castlevania was
like
completely
Nintendo
the
64
third
better.
dimension. The graphics are good, for Nintendo 64 standards, but I find them unappealing because it's the beginning of the 3D age and they haven't perfected it yet. It's that awkward period between the old and the new. Now, because both these games are so similar, I'm only going to talk about this one. If I talk about every game, I'll be doing this till next year. After all, this is the last Castlevania game.
But that wouldn't be the first time that, like...
Closing my personal recollection of how I experienced the series. You get a choice between two characters, Reinhardt and Carrie. Reinhardt uses the whip. The control is awkward. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like Castlevania was made to
People like it because it's piss easy.
I don't know, just for some reason, Ocarina of Time worked out so much better. So I'm going with Carrie, because at least she's a projectile, giving you a longer range. But now I'm playing as like a schoolgirl. It doesn't look anything like Castlevania anymore. In this stage, you have to pull levers to open gates. So when you get to a lever, it says operate the mechanism, yes or no. Why does it bother asking me that?
Fair.
Obviously, I want to pull the lever. What's my other option? To just stare
But,
at
like,
the fucking background?
You know, I used to really... I mean, like a lot of people, I used to trust AVGN as, like, a reviewer. But then he did Mega Man games. And he said Legends wasn't very good. And then I was like, well, no, his critique of this game just sucks dick.
It sucks. There is no
You know, he's doing the whole, I'm not nostalgic for it, therefore it bad. Like a lot of people have, a lot of the criticisms people have about Legends, I find are very dumb. Like the controls.
No, this time it's the camera itself.
The controls are actually very, very good for that era. They just require a certain je ne sais quoi. But I think they work as a good alternative to having automatic broken fucking camera shit.
Now I'm at a part where I'm supposed to destroy a cracked wall using two separate items. So I gotta find these.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, you know, like I'm looking at this Castlevania, you know, we're watching I'm looking at this Castlevania video. We're watching this. Like I wonder if these games actually are not that bad and they just
I guess I gotta carry them one
Yes,
at a time.
Legends did do Z targeting
Well,
before
I
Zelda.
carried the Mandragora over this cracked
But I
wall.
wonder if this
And guess what?
Castlevania game is actually not that
Realized I had
bad.
no clue how to put this thing
Or if
down.
he just sucks
There's
at
no
video
drop
games.
or throwaway option,
Or just
nothing.
didn't,
I tried
like,
putting
give the
it
game
in
a fair
garbage
shake
chutes
because
on
it's
the
not
wall,
my
but no
nostalgic
luck.
one.
Then I found these statues that talk to you. At first, I thought they were just giving you hints. letting
I
you
don't know.
what
I
to
catch
do with
myself
the
doing
Nitro
that
and
sometimes,
Mandragora.
where it's like,
Since I can't seem to place the stuff on the ground, I figured
I'm
I had
more
to
harsh
use
on a
statues in
game
order
because
to
I'm not
use
nostalgic
items at
for
all.
it.
Even though that makes no sense, that's like talking to a fire hydrant so you can use dynamite to demolish a building. But anyway, talking to the statues doesn't work either. Turns out I was supposed to get the Nitro first. But now that I'm stuck holding the Mandragora, there's nothing I can do. The game's over. What a fatal flaw. Just because you miss some object, it won't let you continue. I don't know what else to do, so the only other thing I can think of is to start the entire game over. And this time, make sure to get the Nitro first. Well, I did just that. I started all the way back from the beginning, made it all the way back to the Castle Center. So here we are, I got the Nitro first. Now I'm heading over to the cracked wall again. Oh shit, it's explosive. That means you have to walk really slow and be careful not to touch anything. You're not even allowed to jump. Shit. Oh. Damn. And every time it happens, you go back to the save spot. Oh my god.
Rondo of Blood, I think, is the one I actually want to try.
Come on. Oh, this is so boring. Well, finally, after about a half hour of walking incredibly slow, I made it to the cracked wall. Well, at least I have the Nitro this time. Right? What the fuck? I still can't use the item? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Life sucks.
I can understand getting pissed at that, getting stuck on that, though, because I got... There's games that I got stuck on growing up too, like Paper Mario. I got stuck on the second level, and I really liked the game, and I wanted to play more of it. And it wasn't until like a little later in my life that I actually could go back and beat it. Like, I didn't understand the mouse staffa thing. Also, I really don't like this chibi.
Life fucking sucks, and so does this game. After Castlevania on Nintendo 64, I'd given up hope for the next great game in the series. Several years later, I realized I'd been looking in the wrong place. Like I said before, I stuck with the Nintendo consoles, and I missed out on the other Castlevania games, like Castlevania Bloodlines on the Sega Genesis. That's what you call Castlevania.
Nice.
Traditional side-scrolling action. Familiar, yet fresh.
Oh, fuck, how am I gonna do this?
All over Europe, rather than just strictly in Transylvania. You get a choice of two characters, John Morris and Eric Lacarde. I wonder what happened to the Belmonts. Who are these
starting
people?
to over-reference,
Well, John Morris
I think.
is the son of Quincy Morris from Dracula, the Bram Stoker novel.
That just blew my mind. It's like now we're bringing the novel into it? So the whole canon of the games is now with the canon of the book, and it's like taking two canons and put them together.
Anyway, this is a great game for the Sega Genesis library, but it's still not on par with Castlevania 4. Whipping in 8 directions, the moonwalking, all that's gone. The graphics, the sound, the gameplay, it's all really good, but it's not as good. Then I turned to the PlayStation, the console which I underestimated so much. There I found Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Holy hot damn, this is fucking good. The graphics and sound are superb, but there is some pretty cheesy voice acting.
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world!
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets! But enough talk! Have at you!
The game's a sequel to Dracula X. In the opening scene, you play as Richter Belmont battling Dracula. The rest of the game, you play as Alucard, who's powerful as fuck. Anything that stands in your way, no matter how big, one hit and it just fucking explodes. That is until you meet Death, who takes all your weapons away. Now, Alucard sucks. All you get is his dinky sword, and every enemy takes like 9 million hits to kill. As you go through the game, you gain power-ups and upgrade your weapons, which is like many games, but to start you off with the good weapons and then take them away is just fucking teasing you. Alucard has this backward dash, but I never found a reason to use it, other than to go slightly faster. And what are these skeletons shooting lasers out their cocks? The one thing I truly hate about this game is that whenever you die, you go back to the main menu. In the other games, you get a continue screen. That's all you need, right? But here, you gotta wait for the screen to melt. Then you gotta stare at the game over screen. Oh, come on. This takes forever. And then it's back to the title screen. Hit start. Then select the file. Wait for the screen to load. And then pick your saved game. Anal bag, that's me. Then you gotta wait for the game to load. Come on! And finally, you continue from your last save point. That is fucking atrocious. Boss battles are epic. In the end, you have to fight a dark priest named Shaft. But what's up with the name? Seriously, Shaft?
You're damn right.
And after that, you fight Dracula, and just, wow. Holy shit. The last and most important thing I have to address with this game is its gameplay style. It's the major breakthrough, what sets it apart from the previous games in the series. Instead of the simple linear style, it goes for a Metroid style with endless forks in the road, save points, and a map system. It's exactly like Metroid, and that's why many fans refer to it as Metroidvania. It also has some RPG elements.
I don't know, I could give
By
up. It's
fighting
fucking...
monsters, you earn experience points, and when you get enough experience points, you level up your power. There's all kinds of potions and items and armor, weapons and sub-weapons, and this is a huge game. It takes hours to get through the castle. Does Dracula really need such a big place to live? And if that's not enough, you have to go through the whole castle all over again, upside down.
I got to the this is a game I've been meaning to revisit too. I got to the inverted castle and I stopped.
Game every now and then, and it pretty much took on every style imaginable, but never again was there another classic linear Castlevania. The console versions continued to experiment, while the portable versions followed Symphony of the Night as the example. Pretty much the whole games take place inside the castle. I missed all that spooky scenery. The old games had cemeteries and forests. I mean, since when did the whole game have to take place inside the castle? Since Symphony of the Night, that's when. This is where Castlevania seem to become more distant from the classic games and gravitate away from what I originally loved about it. They have so much text, and the storylines were getting ridiculous. In Dawn of Sorrow, Dracula's castle emerges from a solar eclipse in Japan. I thought Japan had enough trouble with Godzilla stomping around. Now they have Dracula too? By the way, that's a nice cover, isn't it? It's like a game within a game. Anyway, Symphony of the Night is often considered to be the best of the whole series. While I think it's an amazing game, my favorite is still Castlevania 4. The control was so satisfying in that game. Alucard's sword is not as much fun as Simon Belmont's whip. Sure, there is a way to unlock Richter Belmont, but this is only after you've already beaten the game. You can't whip in all directions, but you can do that little twirly thing, and Richter has some neat special moves. But I still prefer the feel of Castlevania 4, and being in total control of my whip. But for the most part, I think the challenge is better. In Symphony of the Night, whenever you come to a hard part, there always seems to be an easier way around it. You can turn into a bat and fly over, or sometimes you need to get more experience points, or there might be some weapon you need to equip, or an item that improves your stamina, or resists fire, or makes you immune to certain magic spells. There's so many variables here. In Castlevania 4, all you had was your own wit. You don't rely on tricks, it's just you and the game. And the only way to beat it is to beat it with your mind and your reflexes. And that, to me, is what Castlevania is all about. And once you've beaten the game in the wee hours of the morning and watched the castle crumble, you reflect on all that time you just spent. The credit sequence shows little replays from each level. It's like watching old memories. And that's what the Castlevania games
Symphony of the
are.
Night, where people who think it's the best one just haven't played anything. Yeah, I can see that. Does a lot of neat shit, but it ain't close to the best. Fair. Fair, fair, fair.
I have a lot of NES games. Look at all these fucking games. So many choices. Which one should I play? Well, here's a question. Which one's different from the rest? Huh? Which one juts out like a fucking piece of shit? This one. And look, what's that? Why, it's another game hiding behind it. It sure is a unique specimen. If it had only been for this, I'd say it's pretty strange, but the way it protrudes out, too, definitely makes it the most oddly shaped of the whole collection. Being that this is one of those unlicensed hack fucks, it won't play in a classic Nintendo, unless you stick another game on it. So that's what it's for. But all the other unlicensed games didn't have to do that, so why this one? It's just like Super Noah's Ark 3D.
Nah, Little Red Hood is the best Castlevania game.
If you play it on the top loader, then it works just like a regular game. It does look lonely and stupid, so I guess you could stack shit on top if you want.
You know what? I noticed something really weird. These are the only two games I know of that have that weird thing where you guys stick the game on the top, but they also both involve animals, slingshots, and fruit. I wonder if there's a connection. Probably not.
Anyway, what do you expect of a game based off of Little Red Riding Hood?
I love
You're
that
familiar with the story, right? It goes something like this.
She's just kicking a
Once
fucking
upon a
guy in the
time, There
ass.
was a girl named Little Red Riding Hood. She liked to jump in the air and whistle out her vagina. She kicked at trees until Big Bird's ball sack would appear.
What? That's not the story? Oh, well, excuse me, because this isn't Little Red Riding Hood. This is Little Red Hood. Yeah! Not to be confused. I don't know, really. The real reason why it's called Little Red Hood instead of Little Red Riding Hood is because I have no fucking idea.
So this is the game. You just look at it and it sucks. It doesn't come as a surprise. It's not like there's any expectations to meet. It's not Spider-Man or Batman or something cool. It's a fucking fairy tale. So it doesn't even need to try to be bad. Well, just hold that thought, because pretty soon you're gonna see
Fuck,
how
I
it
just
goes
realized
way
this looks...
beyond your wildest
Ugh.
nightmares. The first thing you try to figure out is how to attack. The B button makes her kick, but it doesn't do a damn thing. It's like the stick in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Why do they give you an attack that doesn't do shit? On the cover of the fucking game, it shows her kicking an enemy. Why can't you do it in the game? Why they have to fucking lie? The only thing the kick can be used for is kicking palm trees to make cherries appear. But please, God, tell me one thing. Why are there cherries coming out of a fucking palm tree? So that's it for the kick. So let's try the A button, which makes you jump. Can you use this as an attack? Nope. Well, that pretty much cancels it all out. But there's guys running all over the place trying to kill you. There's gotta be some way to attack, right? Well, sometimes when you pick up a rock, you might uncover a white dog, and if you're lucky, the dog will eat the bad guys. So that's basically your attack. Mario jumps on people, Link uses a sword, Little Red Hood uses a dog that she finds under a rock. I can't believe I'm explaining this. It's not even like you control the dog, it just wanders around. So you just have to hope that the dog and the bad guys accidentally walk into one another. Let's check out the store. The store always sells the same 3 items, even when there's 2 stores right next to each other. What's the point of that? It's like fucking Starbucks at every street corner. The first item is a potion that makes you invincible. It only works for a few seconds, so it's not worth the investment.
Oh, this was a
The
bad
second item
drawing.
is a heart that regains your health. But tell me, why is your health indicated by those traditional fake Valentine-looking hearts when the heart you buy in the store is like a real human heart? Not to mention, you can find candy, which gives you some health back too. Not as much as the heart you buy in the store, but why would you pay for it when you can basically find the same thing for free? The third item is a slingshot. Now that's more what we're talking about. Now you'd expect her to use a slingshot to shoot rocks or something, right? But no, she throws the fucking thing.
Yeah, check this out. Look, I'm gonna hit you with this slingshot. I suppose if the game programmers put a gun in the game, you'd be throwing that as well. Does that make any sense? No.
It doesn't matter anyway, because after you've thrown only a few slingshots, it's gone. 1,000 gold pieces down the shitter. Even when you do kill anybody, they come back right away. Respawning enemies are common in games, but here, they don't even give you a second. The instant they die, they come back, almost as if nothing happened. So there's no purpose trying to kill anybody. All you can do is run, 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 like a little red pussy. Once you've gotten over that fact, you start wondering, what's the goal? How do you get to the next level? Well, this is where the real havoc begins. To begin with, the stage is small enough to span 2 TV screens. Occasionally a staircase will appear. You go down the staircase and you find a room. Here you can get some gold and some candy, but other than that, it's a dead end. The staircase continues to appear, but in no such way that you can predict. I'm not sure if it goes off on a timer or whatever, but basically this staircase appears whenever it wants. It's never in the same place, but it always leads to the same room. You try kicking trees, but all you get are cherries, which don't seem to do anything. You try kicking rocks, and all you get are enemies or other items, no exit, and no clue whatsoever. Sometimes you get a balloon, but that only takes you to a bonus stage. One piece of gold always flashes, but I don't understand why, and I'm pretty sure it's just a glitch of some kind. You try all the boundaries, thinking that somewhere there's a spot where you can walk into the next part of the game, but it doesn't happen. All the
I'm getting mad.
that one little spot that looks like a fence, and even the areas that seem wide open are all just the same. A fucking barricade that might as well be a brick wall.
I'm wondering if I should ditch this and move to another panel.
Well, this is when anybody would just shut off the game. Do you really want to know how to play it? One more of these and I'll tell you.
You need to get a key. Now, where could this key be hidden? Why, of course, it appears randomly inside one of the staircases, which also appear randomly. If you've been in that room once already, you just assume there's nothing there. So now that you have the key, what do you do with it? You're thinking there's got to be a locked door or something like that, right? But no, you're supposed to wait for another staircase to appear, and that's the exit. That doesn't make any sense. How would a key unlock an open staircase that doesn't even have a door in front of it? At least if they put a keyhole on it, it would be more logical, but it would also let you know that you're supposed to use the key there. Oh, and I didn't even tell you how to make this staircase appear. That's where the cherries come in. You just go around kicking random trees, getting cherries, and when you've gotten enough of them, I think 12, the stairway appears. How would anybody guess that's what the cherries are for? There isn't even a counter to keep track of how many cherries you've collected. Come to think of it, there's nothing telling you how many lives you have either. You get no information. I've tried hitting start, select. There's no status screen, and unless you have an instruction manual, you'll never figure this out.
But now we know, so let's continue with the game. But first, let's recap and make sure we got this straight, okay? Alright. You wait for randomly flashing staircases to appear, in which you try to find a randomly appearing key, which randomly appears within the randomly appearing staircases, and then try to collect a random number of cherries.
I'm gonna get up and stretch for a bit.
I'll
be right back.
To reveal another staircase that doesn't flash or more or less appears.
Okay, I got up. I stretched. I got my blood flowing a little bit. I have a little bit more patience to try again. Sorry about that. Usually I don't, like, completely rage quit when I do art. But, as I was explaining earlier, this is very much the part of the process where I start to lose faith in what I'm doing. And where I kind of just give up and move on to other projects. This is about where I would have. This is kind of where I stopped. I did not get nearly as close as I did on the last attempt of me doing this, but this is about where my inability to live up to my expectations kind of crushes my my momentum, and I kind of just stop. And then what would happen is I'd take a break for anywhere from weeks to months, and I'd hop back on again after getting the itch about it. Someone posted a video of the bootleg battle pass, and it's really funny. Well, do share with the class. No, yeah. It is really frustrating. This is why I get so fucking iffy and antsy about wanting to talk to people that actually do this kind of stuff. Because I feel like a lot of the problems I'm having are just like ones that I would need counseling on. Oh my god. Does it even do anything other than just fucking RGB? But it raves. That's it. Because they couldn't put the actual Bit Crush version of Butterfly. Hi, I'm a little butterfly. that's enough of that. I can barely handle that. Oh boy. Ah, fuck. I've got money. eBay's holding my fucking money from selling a Gower Gura Nendoroid. I still have 2 of them left. I have to sell 2 more of them. Alright, let's get going.
Flashing, but in a frozen state. You go in there, and then you're off to the next level.
Let's just fucking do it, I guess.
Well, good. Because now, all you gotta do is do that 9 more times, and congratulations, you've learned the secret of playing Little Red Hood. The only thing you might be wondering now is what on earth does this have to do with the story of Little Red Riding Hood? Well, I'll tell you. Absolutely fucking nothing.
So now that you know how to play, you just gotta go through the same routine over and over. Because of the random nature of this game, each stage could take anywhere from 5 minutes to a half hour. It all depends when the stairways appear, when the key appears, and so on. It starts to wear on your mind very quickly. Every level looks alike. The colors are changed, the trees and the fruit are different, but overall the design is basically the same thing. But it goes beyond just being bland. They somehow managed to choose the most repulsive color schemes and patterns. Don't you wish there could have been a more appealing texture and hue rather than this diarrhea-ish brown? Look at the bear. Did they purposely try to make it match the background? They really couldn't help but use the same putrid color twice? The music never changes. Every level is the same frothy sound of crackling ass. Even something as simple as walking can't go without glitchy side effects. Like Metal Gear, you can't pass through narrow spots. I mean, if you can't walk through, why make it look like you can? Oh, never mind. I guess if you fidget around enough, it works. You can't jump when you're below a tree, as if your head is somehow hitting the trunk. Technically, this would mean the character is not jumping straight up into the air, but rather sideways, as if Little Red Hood exists in a 2-dimensional space while jumping sideways into a 3-dimensional tree. If you're walking above the trees, you can't walk behind the leaves. It's as if this vague space the tree occupies is a blockade. The items always appear at random, even in areas where you can't get to them, like inside a tree. Sometimes 2 items can appear in the same place. And sometimes an item can just randomly disappear. Everything about this game is a broken down mess.
It's just so random. You know, how many times have I used the word random and appear? But that's exactly what's happening. Stuff appears or doesn't appear or randomly does something else. I feel like a guinea pig in an experiment where they're testing the effects of negative reinforcement. Let's see what happens if we take the key away. It's 20 years late, but whoever you are, and if you want to know what the effect is, I'll tell you the effect. It's fucking pissing me off.
Nothing is consistent about this twisted piece of shit covered anal fuck. In this stage, the key is out in the open, guarded by a panda, I guess. Are any of the animals in this game supposed to be the big bad wolf? Anyway, the panda is the only enemy that kills you with 1 hit. Doesn't matter if you have full health, you touch the panda and you're dead. The only way you can get past it is if you get hit by something else and then pass through. Thank God for that after-hit invincibility. Then there's this spot where you have to jump on turtles to get across a waterfall. And this is not the kind of game that has good jumping control. Fuck. Oh, fuck! Fuck! Level 5 is a C level. All you have to do is get 2 pearls. I guess they decide to change it up a bit. It's the easiest level in existence and has no purpose. Too bad there weren't any other levels like this so we can breeze through this fuckwad. But the most fucked up level of all is level 8. Here, the key never appears. Just never. It never appears. I played this stage for about an hour before I eventually looked up an online walkthrough from someone who probably had more time to spare than me. And guess what? In this stage, the key doesn't appear until you buy an invincibility potion and 3 slingshots.
How would anybody know to do that? You go through the whole game, all of a sudden they throw you a curveball and change the fucking rules. Imagine if in Super Mario Brothers, if one level, you can't jump on the flagpole at the end. Unless first you collect exactly 29 coins, stomp 3 Goombas, and get a fire flower. You wanna know how I feel now? I'm fucking enraged. You don't just change the rules like that. This is shit sauce. This is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde standards. And I'm still playing it. I don't even know why. I guess I can't resist being able to say I beat Little Red Hood. And you know what? I don't expect a good ending either. Why work hard on creating an elaborate ending when you've made the game so hard to figure out that there's not a chance in hell anyone would get that far? In fact, I expect a shitty ending. A fucking loathsome, ass-sucking shit heap of an ending.
Oh, my dear Little Red Hood, thank you for your coming.
Come.
You did not disappoint.
When are we gonna get the fucking Little Red Hood Dojin? Because there's clearly some Japanese game that just got like a bootleg port. I mean, there's like so many Japanese games that just never made it over. I feel like in just all of video gaming. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Let's. You know what? Fuck drawing for a second. Was I right? Nope, I was wrong. It's a Taiwanese Famicom game. Oops. Ugh. One of the worst NES games ever made, and also one of the rarest. It goes for several $100s on internet. How the fuck did he end up with it? Appears to be an unfinished game.
It's winter. It's fucking cold. We're playing some winter games. Oh, boy.
Damn.
But anyway, let me get the greeting out of the way. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy everybody, Happy Holidays. And if you have a problem with Happy Holidays, then happy shut the fuck up. But there ain't nothing happy about this shit.
This is Winter Games on the NES. It's one of those Olympic sporting games, which seems like a simple concept. How bad could it possibly be? But this is just one piece of the turd shat out by Epics. They made Summer Games, California Games, World Games, and of course Winter Games, which found its way on every home console known to mankind. The Commodore, Amiga, Apple computers, and the Atari 2600, just to name a few. And to be fair, most of them weren't that bad for the time. They're simple sporting games that anyone could pick up and play. But then comes the NES version. You'd expect this one to be a huge improvement, but let's see. Alright, the game boots up, and a runner comes to light an Olympic torch. Yeah, cool. Can I skip it? What's the point? I don't want to watch this. I want to play the game. I guess the programmers were really impressed with their work here. It looks okay, but it's not worth staring at every time you start the fucking game. Even more senseless, they actually give you an option of replaying the intro. I obviously saw it once. Why the fuck would I want to see it again? The name entry screen is a disaster. You can't move the cursor up or down. It only goes left and right. Isn't that fun? Not to mention, they only let you spell 4-letter words, which I can think of plenty, but how many names would have less than 4 letters? If you try to add a 5th letter, it goes back and replaces the first letter. Then you gotta figure out how to start over. When it reaches the last letter, why couldn't it just stop? The simplest thing to do is to type in all A's, then go left once to get to the enter button. Because why put in a name anyway? It's not like the game's gonna save it, but if it did, I guarantee most of the high scores would belong to
The point is, how hard is it to program something as simple as a name entry screen? If they can't even get that right, then whoa, wait till you see the game. In the Atari 2600 version, you compete in different events like bobsledding and skiing. It was simple, but it worked. So being that this is NES, they're obviously going to top what they did before, right? You know, jumping over to a newer console, there's going to be some improvements, maybe some more events. The Atari version had 7 events, so we can assume that this one will have 4? Only 4? The NES just got its 8-bit ass handed to it by the Atari 2600. Well, that's fine with me. Spares me the shittiness. It makes you wonder how it compares with the Atari 7800. Well, this one too had only 4, but some of the events are different. So in total, between the two consoles, it's as if they have the same amount of games as the Atari 2600, but when the 7800 and the NES came out, they divided them between the two. I've never heard of that happening before.
The first event is called Hot Dog Aerials. I wonder what that could be. Oh, ski jump.
I wonder why they do call the ski jump hot dog aerials.
Hot Dog Aerials.
I know that's like a real term, like hot dogging is like a skiing thing. Wonder where that term came from.
Well, all that happens here, you jump, you crash, you jump, you crash, you jump, and you crash. Very rarely I've gotten the fucker to land by some sort of luck. All you can do is jerk the D-pad around and hope for the best. Fuck! What people could be sadistic enough to design a game with such a dysfunctional control scheme? The only people in the world who would call the ski jump hot dog aerials. Next is speed skating. I'm surprised it's not called cat tit bingo. Okay, so the first thing that happens, your opponent speeds away, but you just stand there. You try every button on the controller until you realize you're supposed to tap right and left on the D-pad repeatedly. It's hell on your fingers, and it ranks right up there with Ghostbusters when you have to go up the stairs by tapping A and B. Is this supposed to be fun? Is it supposed to be challenging? Rocking the D-pad left and right? Was this game designed for monkeys? They don't even have the courtesy to explain it. You need the manual. There is a practice mode, but it's the same exact thing as the regular game. There's no on-screen instructions whatsoever. How do you like that music? Listen. Exquisite.
Isn't that the most beautiful, radiant sound that has ever been blessed upon your soul? Its exuberant tonality harmoniously blends the dying squeals of electronic goats with the melodic rapture of diarrhea bubbling from a coyote's crap hole.
Next, let's try the bobsled. Okay, I don't get this at all. What's all this shit on the screen? Am I supposed to be looking here or here? I guess that's the bobsled. Is that the slope? The shading looks like crap. Literally, it's like they poured diarrhea into an ice maker. And what's that jumbled white shit? Is it scrambled Japanese text that's glitching up? Do I need to take the cartridge out and blow on it? Or is it supposed to be clouds? All you do is steer the bobsled using left or right. So once again, the only control that you use is the D-pad. It's funny how the NES controller has 2 big bright red buttons that never seem to come in handy. In fact, I believe the B button is never even used once in the entire game. So this is actually very simple, but because the screen is all split up like comic book panels with a speedometer and other unnecessary bullshit, it makes it look like it's more complicated than it really is. Well, there's only one event left, figure skating. There is no hope for this game redeeming itself. This is the worst event of all. I don't know how the point system is judged, but the idea is to simply make this girl do all kinds of ice skating tricks. You mash the D-pad all around and try tapping the buttons, and all that happens, she falls flat on her face. Very rarely I was able to get her to spin, but the final score always results in a 0.0. That's pretty harsh. You don't even get a decimal point for spinning around. This is painful. The timer seems to last an eternity, and the Nutcracker music is torture to your ears. And I know this is ice, but staring at a screen that's 90% white makes me feel like I'm going blind.
I'm not even kidding, but if I were to give out an award, a big shit-dripping trophy for the worst controls ever in a video game, I think it would go to this. I mean, look at it. I've never seen anything this unresponsive. I'm hitting every button combination possible. You know, all it needs to be said about winter games is that you push buttons. That's all it is. How's winter games? You ever play winter games? Yeah, you push buttons, that's it. Go like this. You're playing winter games. You ever watch a movie where someone's pretending to play a video game, but you can tell they're just acting, they're just going like this? They're playing winter games. Yeah. Who programmed this thing? Maybe it was Fred Fox. This is a blizzard of balls! I can't believe humanity was capable of degrading itself so low as to produce such an insulting catastrophe of ass! Do not store in extreme temperatures. Do not immerse in water. Do not clean with benzene, thinner, alcohol, or other such solvents. Do not hit or drop cartridge. Do not attempt to disassemble. That.
I love how he gave himself fucking cancer by doing that. I hope that bit was worth it. Although it was probably a fake one. Would have been very easy for them to just reprint a label and get like a reproduction cartridge and just not include the game in there.
Play some games? Wanna play some shitty games? Well, hang on just a second. I gotta go get my mail. What the hell's all this shit? There's metallic sea sponges everywhere. There's titanium rocket jock straps, headless parrots with bottle caps, floating eyeballs entrapped in glass lids. How is this all happening? Oh, of course, it's the year 2010. Holy shit, this was all foreseen in the game Street Fighter 2010. Yeah, I should have known. It's crazy. Remember how futuristic the year 2000 seemed? My whole childhood, it seemed like every movie, every video game, it was always 2000. It sounded so high-tech and so far away. But now, fuck that. It's the 10-year anniversary of the year 2000.
Oh,
5 years,
I
we're gonna
hate
have
being
flying
old.
Cars and hoverboards and self-lacing shoes.
2015.
It better happen. Otherwise, they should have made it the year 3000. Even if they made it 2100, we'd all be dead. It wouldn't make a difference anyway. Better be a mystery than to be wrong. Anyway, the oldest Street Fighter game that most people have played was Street Fighter 2. But this one on the NES came before, and it just so happens to take place in 2010. Who would have thought that Street Fighter's past lied in the future, which is now the present? Let's take a look at this. I can only imagine. We're gonna be Tiger uppercutting through space and time. We're gonna be throwing sonic booms on the moon, Hadoukens up Uranus. Fuck Street Fighter 4. This is Street Fighter 2010.
Target versus Ken. Okay, I know who Ken is, but Target? I'll accept that it's some weird devil with a scorpion stinger that doesn't exist in any other Street Fighter game, but are they really calling it Target? Maybe it's Target. So, welcome to Street Fighter in space. There may not be streets in space, but there are fights. The gameplay is unlike anything I can describe. It definitely doesn't feel like Street Fighter. It comes a little closer to Mega Man because of its laser ball projectiles and Ninja Gaiden because of climbing on walls, but even those games don't help describing it. No matter what you do, you always end up flipping around and grabbing onto everything in sight. It's as if the controls themselves are too futuristic and advanced for anyone to comprehend. When attacking, your enemies have to be right next to you or above you because you can only shoot straight ahead or straight up. There is a way to shoot down, but it involves doing some kind of aerial somersault, and you can only pop off one shot at a time if you're in midair. Oh, and by the way, to shoot diagonally up, you press down and B. I'm not kidding.
You press down to shoot diagonally up.
What the hell is this poop-plastered, shit-smothered piece of fuck? And what does it have to do with Street Fighter? Well, Ken's in it. That's about it. It has Ken, or more or less a guy in a spacesuit named Ken. I guess it would help if I read the backstory. Let's see. Ken, the Frontier, partner of Troy, Lab, Puddle of Jelly, Street Fighting Circuit, Cyboplasm, Overdose, Violent Mutants.
Alright, so what I get out of this is Ken won the Street Fighting Circuit, then he became a scientist and invented some kind of thing called Cyboplasm. I guess it's like ectoplasm, just with a little more cybo. And then his partner, some guy named Troy, was killed. And then the cyboplasm is stolen, and then everybody's turned to mutants, and basically, yeah, that's about it. I wouldn't be surprised. Ken is the only Street Fighter character in this game. No Guile, no Chun-Li, no M. Bison. Instead, we get Target, the scorpion devil alien from the year 2010. I guess we can make the best of it and just pretend it's Street Fighter.
Hadouken! 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 You win!
It doesn't work. Even when I put the sound effects in, it's not Street Fighter. It worked better when they brought Punch-Out to outer space. And you want to know what the most confusing part of the whole story is? In the original Japanese version, the character's name was Kevin Stryker. It was the US version which changed the name to Ken and added that one little tiny reference to the Street Fighting Circuit in an attempt to tie it in with the game in which it's fucking named after. So you're telling me the Japanese version had less to do with Street Fighter? As in nothing?
I guess you can say this is where the series got sidetracked before hitting big with Street Fighter 2, which then went off on its own tangent. Man, Street Fighter's the only series to have a sequel which had its own series. Most people never played or even heard of Street Fighter 1. I almost wondered why they even bothered to call it Street Fighter 2 on the home consoles. They could have just called it Street Fighter. Kind of like with Final Fantasy VI, they ignored the missing sequels and just called it 3. So, whatever happened to the original Street Fighter? I have laid eyes on the arcade cabinet 20-something years ago, so I know it existed. Only in recent years I've discovered that it was ported onto the Commodore 64 and every home computer of the time before landing on the TurboGrafx 16 CD. Ah yeah, I finally get to talk about this thing. When Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis were fighting the 16-bit war, the TurboGrafx 16 was chilling in the background. It's a unique specimen. Its games didn't come on cartridges, but instead these neat little cards and CDs.
Wait, what the fuck?
The CD unit was sold separately, and it was the first CD game console, at least in North America, so the technology didn't quite catch on yet. In combination with that, most people owned either a Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. Not only would you have had to own a TurboGrafx 16, you'd have to buy the CD attachment too, so it's no wonder no one played the first Street Fighter game. And to be even more elusive, they changed the fucking title to Fighting Street. That doesn't make any sense. But at least you get to play as classic characters such as Ryu, George Washington, and Abe Lincoln.
The mystery is solved. We're finally playing the original Street Fighter. And guess what? It sucks ass.
I'm sure the arcade version was better, but this is lousy. And the only reason I say that is the control. The special moves only work whenever they feel like it. You can try to throw a Hadouken the entire fight, and it'll never fucking work. Also, the voices sound like shit.
Listen, but don't forget there are many gods like you all over the world.
The only characters you get to play as are Ryu and Ken. They can only be selected by plugging the controller into the first port for Ryu and the second for Ken. There's no character select screen. There's a couple training stages thrown in. It's primitive, but for one of the first fighting games, it wouldn't have been bad aside from the awful control. Come on, do the move, do the move! Oh, you son of a bitch! Come on, do a Shoryuken! Come on, Shoryuken! More like sure you can. It's no wonder why nobody remembers this game. Of all the revisions and turbo enhancements they've done to Street Fighter 2, an already great game, it makes me wonder why they weren't doing the same to the original to make it better. Street Fighter the Good Edition. How about that? Believe it or not, the first game intended as a sequel was Final Fight. Originally it was called Street Fighter 89. However, they treated it as an entirely different kind of game with a beat-em-up style. So Final Fight became its own series, but Capcom would often make small crossovers to tie them together. In Final Fight 2, you can see Chun-Li in the background, and some Final Fight characters would appear in later Street Fighter games. The title Street Fighter 89 was changed after they exhibited the game at a trade show. The feedback they got led them to change it on the grounds that it had nothing to do with Street Fighter. Oh, but not at all like that one.
Whoa. Man, I got way off track. I still gotta finish this. You know what? I just noticed. The full title is Street Fighter 2010, The Final Fight. The irony is stunning and I'm nerding the fuck out of myself, but how do you make a game named off the two other games and not have anything to do with either of them? Maybe it means Final Fight as in this is the future, this is the final Street Fighter fight. But Street Fighter? Maybe it's based off the Street Fighter movie series from the 1970s. It has just as little relation. Oh, and speaking of Street Fighter movies, remember Street Fighter the movie, the game? This is the Sega Saturn version. How do you like that? Knocking another console off the list.
Anyway, this is one of the stupidest ideas I ever heard. They make a movie based on the game, and then a game based on the movie. Not to mention the movie was more or less based off Street Fighter 2 and not the first one. It kind of resembles Mortal Kombat with its digitized actors, but not as good. It's not a bad game either, it's like Street Fighter 2, but the controls are a little more stiff. For curiosity's sake, it's fun to play, but it just makes you wish you were playing Street Fighter 2 instead.
Whoa. Alright, I got really sidetracked. I was trying to review Street Fighter 2010, and, you know, I just talk about one thing, I end up talking about something else. But that's what happens, man. And you know what? If they didn't call it Street Fighter, maybe I wouldn't have had that problem. So, from this point on, let's just forget about the title, take the name Street Fighter, and just throw it away.
The objective for each stage is to find a portal. The portal never appears until you destroy the target enemy, and that's why all the enemies are called target. Yeah, it is awkward, but that's what it means. So you destroy the target, the portal appears somewhere, and you have to race and get to it within a very short time limit, and I mean very short. There's a time limit within the stage, too. I'm running around trying to kill this plant thing, but the motherfucker won't stay still. Come on, I'm running out of time! Fuck! The graphics look like some kind of weird cyber nightmare. I like it. It's kind of like a cross between Salvador Dali and H.R. Geiger. Other times, you're in a psychedelic limbo with clown music shooting at frogs. The background looks like one of those magic eye pictures, you know, the ones you're supposed to stare at and go cross-eyed. Each stage gets harder and pushes you to new levels of frustration. There's this stage where the screen keeps moving horizontally. If you don't make it through fast enough, you die. Sometimes you have to choose between taking the time to kill an enemy or just rushing through because you're gonna die anyway if you don't move your ass. Then there's this stage where the screen actually moves back and forth. The most difficult thing about this game is attacking. There's so many airborne enemies that you can't do anything about. I'm climbing on a fucking waterfall of diarrhea. I can't shoot up or down, and because the enemies are coming from up and down, that's really a fucking problem. Ugh, I can't shoot you! Get away from me! I'm getting murdered! I'm getting butt fucked up the dick! Then there's the sand stage where you have to fight a boss, but there isn't any foundation to be able to fight. You're jumping around in the sand trying to work your way to the bottom of the screen so you can shoot this guy, but every time you get low enough to shoot him, he shoots first and you gotta jump back up. You never get the chance. I wish all this fucking sand wasn't here. Then there's this stage where you have to shoot an eyeball on the ceiling, but there's no way to reach it unless you have full power up. But you can't go back and get any power up, so you're screwed. The only thing you can do here is wait for these mucus walls to build up, stand on the very edge right here, and then you have to face the opposite direction. And this is the only way you can hit this eyeball. But then good luck trying to avoid all the other shit coming at you. You can never pay attention to one thing at a time. This game is all about distractions, and it forces you to multitask. No matter how used to it you think you get, each level throws something different your way. You have to keep developing new strategies. This game is incredibly annoying, but it's also very stimulating. If the controls were less limited and some of its flaws were ironed over, I'd say it's an underrated NES classic. It gives you an adrenaline rush and it pisses you off just enough that you don't want to give up. Whenever you beat a stage after hours of trying, there's nothing more satisfying and triumphant than to hear that glorious sound. However, the final stage goes way too far. It's the most heartless and abominable end stage ever programmed. What you get here is an endurance round. You have to fight 3 bosses and then go on to a final boss who has 2 different forms, all on one single life. You die once, you go back. First, it's this fucking clam-shaped thing, then it's this fuck brain, then these 2 disappearing mummified armadillo robots in a room that randomly spouts fire all about. On top of trying to stay alive, you have to do it all before the time runs out. Oh look, I beat him, and the time's still going. Come on, I gotta get to the final boss. Yes, I made it. 2 seconds to spare. Then you get a cutscene. There's no way anybody's gonna bother to read this. Your heart is pounding so fast and you're ripping your hair out of your head wondering, what the fuck am I gonna have to fight now? I'm at the final boss. What is it? What is it? What? The fucking time limit? You'd think that after the cutscene the timer would start over. But no! You fight the 3 bosses, then it's the cutscene, then you fight 2 forms of the final boss. So that's basically 5 bosses in total, all on the same life bar and the same time limit. You get unlimited continues, so there's no excuse to shut off the game. You just keep playing and playing and playing. Eventually, you start to get good at it. You can blow through all these bosses, taking as little damage as possible, but then the time always runs out. So you do it real fast, but then you end up getting killed. Then you start to go through a phase where you get so frustrated that all the skill you've accumulated starts to weaken. So instead of getting better, you actually start to get worse because you've been playing the same fucking thing over and over. The final boss looks like a big blistering ball sack that swallowed Grimace. His only weak spot is the face. The ideal strategy is to climb onto the wall and keep shooting, but your beam doesn't reach. Not without full power-ups. You can try jumping off and shooting, but that takes too long. You don't have time. When you're plowing through the stage, you gotta stop and get all the power-ups. But that wastes time too. But you gotta do it. You gotta somehow make it all happen. You can't beat one boss flawlessly, but then fuck up a little on the next one. You gotta 1. Beat all the bosses without getting hurt too much. 2. Get all the power-ups. And 3. Do it fast as shit. All in one perfect run. But once you do it, man, you're on the fucking top of the world. Yeah, boom, boom.
And that, my friends, is Street Fighter 2010. That's all I have to say. So Happy New Year, Happy New Decade. Am I forgetting anything? Yeah, I forgot my fucking mail.
Alright, how'd we do? That's not horrible, I guess.
Oh, hide lie. Saying the name gives you a
Where's
gag
Yushki? Yushki, help me.
Hide lied.
Help me,
Sounds so
Yushki.
wretched foul. Maybe it's pronounced hid lied, but who knows? And who even knows what the fuck it means?
It's a typical adventure game where you play as a guy with a sword who has to explore a fantasy world, fight monsters, collect treasures, and rescue a princess. Picking up a game like this in itself is like embarking on an adventure. You can stick to the familiar NES classics, or you could be a brave explorer in search of the unknown. You might uncover a gem or a turd covered in vomit. And this is the turd covered in vomit. While the concept isn't very unique, the first thing you see is a dragon that shoots fire at a princess, making her explode into 3 fairies. I've never seen that happen. As soon as you start playing the game, the first thing that comes to anybody's mind is Legend of Zelda. Now be prepared, we're going to reference Zelda an awful lot. It seems like Hide Lied would have ripped off Zelda, but actually Hide Lied came first on the PC-88, which was a home computer in Japan. It came out on the NES after, following in Zelda's wake. Imagine buying this game based on its cover, expecting something as good as Zelda, and then going home and playing it and finding out it's a piece of shit. If there's anything this game truly ripped off, it's the music. It's just a variation on the Indiana Jones theme, and it never stops. It's like winding up a music box and letting it play for an eternity, except for the last screen, which also sounds like Indiana Jones. Let's get down to the gameplay. Attacking is a joke. You're supposed to hold down the A button and run into the monsters. In Zelda, you actually see the sword come out. But here, there's nothing. Did they forget to animate it? Am I supposed to use my imagination like a fucking board game? When you kill something, they just disappear. Nothing happens. They don't burst or make a sound effect or do anything to make you feel the satisfaction of killing an enemy. There's no skill involved. You'll never know whether or not you're hitting the monster or the monster's hitting you. It's just as random as rolling the dice or playing the lottery. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But I guess it's better than using drugs or alcohol, because with drugs and alcohol, especially drugs, you always lose. If you're lucky, your experience will go up, but it only goes up 1 pixel at a time. If you want to level up, you gotta fill up the whole bar. This is what it looks like in fast speed, but can you imagine how long it takes to do this? You can't, unless you played it. You can also do a magic attack by pressing the B button, but it's really confusing. You have to scroll through your different magic spells, and when you get to the spell you want, hit the A button to be in attack mode, and then hit B to cast the spell. By the time you do all that, you're already dead! And what the fuck is this? Am I fighting a rock? Whenever you die, take a guess what happens. You go back to the beginning. Yep, it's one of those games. No extra lives, no continues, you don't get diddly dick. There is a password system, but it's the most perplexing, back-ass, and unorthodox use of a password I've ever seen in a game. First, you bring up the menu and go to save. That sounds pretty simple, right? You just save the game. But no, that's not at all how it works. All save does is give you a password. But it doesn't show you the password, and you'll never even know it's there until you go down to password. And there you go. Now you gotta write the fucking thing down. The time it takes to write it down and then re-enter it is almost the same time it takes to just start the game over. What were they thinking? They couldn't come up with a better way? How about just giving me the password after I die? How about extra lives? How about a continue option? Or even better, how about a battery backup like in Zelda and actually making save really save the game? Load? When would I ever want to load a game from within the game? If I died, I'd be doing this from the main menu screen with the password option. Unlike the password option from the menu within the game, which gives you the password that you got from the save option. Speed? Do I really care what that does? Game? Does that let me pick a different game? Because that would be a good fucking idea! Even if you get used to this whole password fiasco, figuring out how to play the game is a puzzle itself. There's treasure chests, which some you can open and others you can't. Sometimes you go into dark caves, but this is suicide because you're just going to run into walls and get killed by fireballs. And sometimes you just die at complete random. There's probably something in the dark killing me, like a rat or some kind of pitfall. Who knows? You can't see it unless you get a lantern. To get the lantern, you have to kill a vampire. How do you kill the vampire? Oh, the cross, of course. Oh, wait. What the hell? Oh, you gotta hit him from the back. Ugh. Anyway, I got the lantern. Now I'm going back to that dark cave to figure out what the fuck was killing me. I don't see anything, so that only concludes there was nothing. That's a cheat if I ever saw one. The game kills you with nothing. Anyway, you make it through this.
What were they thinking with this shitload of fuck?
Die, enter the password, pick up where you left off, make it a few steps further, write down the next password, die, re-enter the password, and repeat. You collect a pot, a jewel, and fairies from random trees. Then you go across the desert to the castle, which warps you to the water, and you swim to the island with the two wizards, hit them with the wave magic at the same time, obviously. The three fairies fly you to the island, burn the bush, grab the gravestone, kill the dragon, get the jewel, go back to the castle, kill the last guy, and you win. Do I feel accomplished? No. I feel like this game just wasted my fucking time, making me have to figure out all this cryptic shit. That's not to say Zelda didn't have its own cryptic shit. You have to burn a bush to reveal a staircase, and there's thousands of bushes where it could have been. There's a lake where you have to use a flute, a statue that you have to push, and a specific rock where you're supposed to lay a bomb. I'm only raising the question. What is it we love about all the puzzle solving that goes on in Zelda? Perhaps it wasn't as hard to figure out, maybe there were more clues within the game, and people discuss this game much more, sharing all the secrets. But I do have to admit, my first time playing through Zelda, I got stumped a lot too. Maybe it just boils down to the fact that it's a much more well-designed game, and it's fun, so you enjoy playing through it and trying to figure it all out. Hide just doesn't have the same fulfillment. It's a mediocre adventure game with some serious flaws, and that's what you get for reaching into the dark depths of the NES library. You might as well be reaching into a dog's asshole, because all you're gonna find is shit.
Might as well reach into my asshole. Oops. Fuck.
He's gonna take you back to the past. We're talking some real intense shit right here. We're talking Ninja Gaiden. Everyone always said Ninja Gaiden, but I know for a fact it's Gaiden. You know where I learned that? From the wizard.
Ninja Gaiden! Hey!
Yeah, back then, nobody knew how to pronounce the names. It's like in Street Fighter. We didn't know Ryu was actually Ryu. Blanca, some people say Blanca, but there's no way it could be that, because Blanca sounds like blanket, man. Anyway, Ninja Gaiden to me is one of the most memorable games of the 8-bit era. While the arcade version was a Double Dragon style beat-em-up, the NES version is an adrenaline-charged side-scroller. Every second counts when you're slashing away at enemies and hopping platforms, and learning how to bounce back and forth between walls is a necessity. As an added bonus to its hot gameplay, excellent graphics, and music, it was also one of the first games to have cutscenes. Common nowadays, sure, but back then, gamers hadn't seen anything like it. So epic. The story follows a ninja named Ryu who travels to America to avenge his father's death. It seemed everyone always assumed that it was the same Ryu from Street Fighter, but I'm pretty sure there's no relation. To further perpetuate this alleged tie-in, they had to name Ryu's father Ken. Okay, Ryu and Ken? How could you not think Street Fighter? As the story unfolds, it turns out before Ken was killed, he was working together with an archaeologist, Walter Smith. They were the safekeepers of two demon statues that, when combined, would awaken an ancient demon that had previously been defeated by Shinobi. Yeah, Shinobi, as in the Sega franchise. This game is a whole network of Ninja Cross references. The sequels continued to have awesome cutscenes, and throughout the series, Ryu would always say, what was he gonna say? What the fuck? Oh, and what is going on there? It always kept you waiting to see what would happen next. Your reward for beating the level was that you get to see the next part of the story. Its cinematic style contained elements of anime and film noir. Throw that together with some fast-paced, high-stake gameplay, and man, the effect was intoxicating. The only problem with these games is that they are relentlessly difficult and nearly inconceivable to beat. The second game incorporated new stage hazards that were never seen before. There's the wind level, where the wind keeps changing direction, so you have to time your jumps accordingly. Such a pain in the ass. Then there's the ice level, where you slide all around. And my most hated of all is when everything goes dark. You might as well be playing blindfolded. The third game is the worst of all, because up until this point, they had unlimited continues. But not this one. There's nothing more frustrating than to make it really far and then have to start all the way back from the beginning. I'd say this is the hardest trilogy of games on the NES, even harder than Castlevania. I'm going to focus on the first Ninja Gaiden. It's been over 20 years, and I still can't beat this son of a bitch. One of the biggest problems is that if an enemy is anywhere near the edge of the screen, they will respawn infinitely. Nice. Thanks for wasting my firepower. The number one most constant issue in this game is getting knocked back. It's the same as in Castlevania. It doesn't matter where you are, no matter which angle you get hit from, it always seems you gravitate towards the nearest hole. You know, I've forgotten that this game has a life bar. Yeah, you can actually die if you take enough hits, but whenever you get hit, there's a death trap right next to you, so you're always going to die by falling. You might as well not even have a life bar. Look at this guy. How am I supposed to get past him? Fuck. 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 Fuck.
This is impossible! How am I supposed to beat this?
Please, teach me how to beat Ninja Gaiden.
Ninja Gaiden. I haven't heard that name in ages.
Really?
Normally they say Ninja Gaiden.
Does that mean I'm worthy?
Playing Ninja Gaiden is a secret art. Only the most determined players can defeat it. Psych! You must be quick. You must be strategic. Can you learn that, my boy?
I've wanted to beat that game all my life.
You realize before you can beat the game must beat you.
And it has. For the past 20 years, it's kicked my ass. I love the game. I want to complete that love by finishing it.
Very well.
Fuck!
Sloppy! Is the game controlling you, or are you controlling the game?
God, I keep getting stuck on the wall!
Ninja must be master of his environment.
And what the fuck was that? Oh, come on, how was I supposed to know a bat was coming?
A ninja must look beyond the border.
Alright. Well, it's too early to stop. But I'm kind of defeated a little bit.
Unlimited continues means no game over.
Although there's some stuff I haven't done on other Bammies.
You make it over.
But we'll say, you know, I'm supposed to be saving some of this shit for the finishing process.
If you waste all your energy on one enemy,
Oh, your mother!
you must not act too quick or too late. Perceive the victory in your head, and your perceived future will be your present.
Yeah!
Good.
No, I jumped a bat, got killed by a cat. That's the way this whole game is. It's just an endless cycle of things that kill you, like a checkmate.
Well, we haven't even gotten to the real soul-crushing part. Like, page 11 is going to be pretty bad. Page 8, I'm kind of not looking forward to. And then all the background pages are going to be pretty tough. Just because there's, like, so much fucking background.
Look at all this shit. There's a million flying enemies, and they all respawn quicker than I can attack.
You're playing with anger. Anger does not exist. Pain does not exist. Defeat does not exist.
And I gotta fix some stuff too.
I looked.
Before you look, you must think. Before you think, you must feel. Before you feel, you must...
I've had enough.
Come, show me your thumbs.
What?
Your thumbs.
My thumbs.
Like this.
What?
What? Faster. You are as slow as sloth taking shit. Come, we will develop speed. Q-tip. When I drop Q-tip, you catch with thumb. Saida, too slow. Again. Again. Ha, perfecto. Ha, perfecto. Sai, ha. Very, very slow. Saida, too slow. One more time. Focus. Ready?
You're slapping him.
I told you not to fail. Say. We learn rhythm. Speed is rhythm. Rhythm is life. Sight, 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 sight. See?
This is impossible. How is a human being supposed to be faster than a machine?
Game machine. Machine predictable. You not.
What?
No chopper offer.
He even winces like he knows he's fucking.
Oh, this is bullshit. That's unbelievable.
With that attitude, you'll never succeed.
Okay. I was a little more kind to myself with this one, I think. I know these 4 pages I really fucking dialed in. Whereas, kind of, towards the beginning, I was kind of being a shit and not doing it all the way. Fuck, what do I want to do?
Final boss, final boss.
You have 3 final bosses.
The first boss isn't too hard once you know how it's done, but the second boss is a nightmare. His fireballs never miss. They follow you everywhere you go. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm all the way back at stage 6-1? That's fucking horse shit. You die on the boss, you go all the way back?
You die, you go back. You must learn discipline.
But how am I supposed to practice on the boss? As soon as I start to learn the pattern, I die and I have to go through the last stages all over again. The hardest section of the whole game is this part right here. It would be so much easier if I had a throwing item like a ninja star. But this game is very stingy with its special weapons. The ammunition is scarce, and whenever you die, you reset to nothing. Even if you do manage to get to this part with a weapon, it doesn't help much. And once you die, you can't go back and restock. This section contains no weapons, so all you have is your sword. The only way to get past this motherfucker is to trigger a glitch, making him disappear. But that only happens if you're really lucky. Then you'll get another shot at the boss, but they don't even have the fucking courtesy to refill your life bar. That is sadistic. Whoever programmed this thing, I want to rip their fucking heart out of their ass and show it to them so they can see how cold and black it is before they die. There's no stage select code, and no helpful Game Genie code either. Infinite lives? Yay. Isn't that what you have already? How about put me back at the boss so I can get another try? At least it lets you skip all the bosses that you've beaten, but it makes me sick to think that there's still one more boss I haven't made it to. I give up.
You must not give up. No game over.
Game's over now. You try.
Fuck. Nunchuck fuck.
Nunchuck fuck. That's great.
Balls!
You know, the whole fucking trilogy is impossible. The first game sends you back, the second has the stage hazards, and the third one has game overs. So it's like, pick your poison. Well, I got my poison right here.
Nunchuck fuck. That's so fucking pedestrian, but it's also hilarious. Ugh.
Once upon a time, video games were more than games. They were adventures. I'm talking about the Sword Quest games for the Atari 2600. They were based on the 4 ancient elements of the cosmos: Sword Quest Earthworld, Fireworld, Waterworld, we're not talking about the Kevin Costner movie, and at last there was going to be Airworld. In these games, the player navigates through a series of mystical chambers in search of hidden treasures, but you weren't just playing a game, you were on a real adventure searching for real treasures. Atari was giving out prizes, and we're not talking about cheap plastic little things you get from a McDonald's Happy Meal. No man, this was real stuff. Here's how it worked. First, you'd have to buy the games, which all came out one at a time. If you became a club member, they'd mail you a t-shirt along with the games as soon as they got released. Not to mention, each game came with a poster and a DC comic book. The games were all about finding clues, so you'd write down all the clues and send them to Atari. Those who found the most would go to Atari headquarters to compete in the finals. Here they'd have custom-made versions of the game, which the players had 90 minutes to finish. Whoever finished first would win the prize. The winner of Earthworld got a talisman made of 18-karat solid gold studded with 12 diamonds and the birthstones of the 12 zodiac signs. The winner of Fireworld got a chalice made of platinum and gold studded with diamonds, rubies, sapphires, pearls, and green jade. The winner of Waterworld would get a crown made of gold decorated with diamonds, rubies, sapphires, and aquamarines. The winner of Airworld would get a Philosopher's Stone, a large piece of white jade encased in an 18-karat gold box adorned with emeralds, rupees, and diamonds. Damn. According to Atari's advertising campaign, these prizes were valued at $25,000 each. But that wasn't all. The 4 winners would come back for one final competition, and the winner of that would win a jewel-encrusted sword with an 18-karat gold handle and a silver blade covered with diamonds, emeralds, sapphires, and rubies. The sword was valued at $50,000. In total, that's $150,000 worth of treasures, and this was in 1982 and 83, so you can balance that out.
Not since the medieval times have I heard of a treasure quest of this magnitude. It gets you really excited to play the games, so that's what I call a promotion. You be wearing your Sword Quest t-shirt with your comic books and posters, drinking out of your gold chalice with your crown, Philosopher's Stone and sword, and not to mention your Sword Quest video gaming cartridges exclusive from Atari.
Well, too bad the contest is all over, so there's not much point in playing the games today. If you picked up one of these games right now with no instruction manual and no explanation, you wouldn't have any idea what to do. Every time you go to the next room, it sounds like an explosion. That's what's so great about Atari. Something as simple as going through a door is an event. Every room's a different color, and there's no end. It just keeps going and going. If you look at the manual, you'll see that each room represents a sign from the zodiac, and if you keep moving, you'll come around full circle. But there's only so many colors, so it's easy to confuse Aries with Libra or Capricorn with Leo. Each room has a hidden chamber where you find treasures, but sometimes before you get to the treasure, you have to pass through a nuclear waterfall or jump on laser rafts. These kind of games, you gotta use a lot of imagination. When you get to a treasure chamber, you can pick up items or drop them. By putting the right combination of items in a certain room, you'll trigger a clue.
Whoa. Now what could that mean? 16:4. The comic book. Page 16, panel 4. I don't see anything. Oh. Wow.
There's 10 hidden words, and they're supposed to make a sentence, but 5 of them are bogus. The only way to figure out which are the right words is to find a subliminal hint on the first page. The words prime and number are a different color than the rest, so this means you only use the clues that are prime numbers. Let me tell you, in 1982, people had a lot of time on their hands and a lot of creativity to figure this out. Out of 5,000 entries, only 8 gamers got the right sentence. The winner was 20-year-old Stephen Bell. Good work, man. The second game, Fireworld, was basically the same principle, except this time the rooms are laid out to follow the Tree of Life. The only things that are very different from the first game are the action sequences. What are we doing here? Hitting birds with a pole? Throwing knives? Now you're actually steering knives into a turkey club sandwich. This part, you're like a black eagle shooting bullets at snakes, all with glorious Atari sound effects. I think this game was a little easier than Earthworld because this time over 50 gamers found all the clues. So Atari had sort of a tiebreaker where they made everyone write down what they liked about the game.
Damn, that's a good game. Gee whiz, I sure love that game.
And somehow, based on those answers, they narrowed it down to 50 contestants. Michael Rideout was the final winner and received the Golden Chalice. The third game, Waterworld, is when the shit hit the fan. The infamous video game crash of 1983 was taking effect, and Waterworld was released in a limited quantity, making this an extremely rare game. It had only 7 rooms, significantly less than the previous games. This time, it was based on the chakra structure. Appropriately, its action scenes all had something to do with water. Either you're trying to swim around sharks, dodge squids, or hop on icebergs. The contest never happened. Atari's financial problems led them to sell the company and pull the plug on the whole thing. The fourth game, Airworld, is just what it is, air. It never got made, though a prototype has been rumored and even hoaxed.
It's a very sad end to what could have been the greatest gaming event in history. An adventure series with rooms based off mythology came with comic books, a chance to win real treasures, and then it all vanished.
The biggest mystery of all is whatever happened to the remaining treasures. Eyewitness accounts and pictures prove that they all existed because they were on display during the competition. But where are they now? The guy who bought Atari was a guy named Jack Trammell. Some comments online from people in the business have said that they've seen the sword hanging in Trammell's living room. There's no pictures or any hard evidence to support this, but if he does have the sword, it's most likely he has the crown and the Philosopher's Stone as well.
Somebody's got to find out. The real sword quest is the quest for that sword and the other treasures. They belong in the hands of gamers who earn them. You know, everybody who put those games in their Ataris had a chance of winning. It was something to dream about, but that dream's been thrown down the toilet. It's 30 years later, but I say the contest must go on. Finish the last game. You can't have earth, fire, and water without air. The balance of the cosmos must be restored. The true bearer of that sword must be found. The kingdom of nerdom depends on it.
Put my pen in my mouth and spit started getting on my tablet.
Pong. A simple word, a simple idea. It's just Pong. It was one of the first video arcades from 1972. A simple screen mounted inside what looked like a carved tree stump. You could call this the wooden age of video games, when everything was made of wood and two people playing tennis looked like two glow sticks batting a square ball back and forth. Yeah, this was before circles were invented. In spite of its simplicity, it's a fun and addicting game, even to this day. I thought it was fun.
Apparently people thought so too back then. That's why they made a home Pong console, so you can play it at home. And then there was another one, and 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 another one. There was like 9 million fucking Pong consoles. A Pong console can refer to any game system made in the 70s that didn't utilize cartridges. Instead, they had one built-in game, which was Pong. Sometimes they included different variations, certain kind of updates, but it's mind-blowing to think that such a simple game could have inspired so many pieces of hardware to play it. So, just for shits and giggles, we're going to take a look at all the Pong consoles, which I happen to own. This right here is the Tournament 1000 by Unisonic. Unfortunately, this one doesn't work, but with game consoles this old, that's something you have to expect. From what we can assume, you can select between 4 different kinds of Pong. And over here, it looks like the game didn't even have the technology of keeping score, so you have to do it manually, which is pretty shitty. Even the most basic Pong games kept score. The controllers slide out right here. Now that's what you call a basic controller. Next, the APF TV Fun. That's a great name, isn't it? The console's got that wooden paneling, and it's shaped like some kind of spaceship. The controllers are like cylinders. You move the paddle by turning this thing right here. This game is your basic Pong. This little switch here changes the type of Pong. One thing that's typical about Pong consoles is that the sound effects never come through the TV. They come from a built-in speaker on the console itself. I guess you can say it's similar to the Wiimote, how certain sound effects come out of it. Next, the Wonder Wizard. Looks like a slab of wood with game dials thrown on it. It was literally built from a Magnavox Odyssey using the same circuit board and part of the plastic casing. Also, it uses the same video connector. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen, and as far to my knowledge, it only exists on the Odyssey and the Wonder Wizard. This might be a good time to bring up that most of these old consoles have a connector that looks like this. You have to plug them into a box and then screw the box into your TV. But I say, get yourself one of these, plug it into the coaxial input on your TV, plug the game in, and tell that box to go fuck itself. However, the Odyssey and Wonder Wizard, with this fucking weird shit, you have no choice but to use a box. And even worse, it has to be a special box that takes this crap. And after all that, you're lucky if the picture comes in clear. Channel 3, Channel 4, what the fuck? The left paddle won't stop flickering, and the right paddle doesn't even exist. Where is it? Where is it? And speaking of weird hookups, the worst of all is the RCA Studio 2. Technically, it's not a Pong console because it uses cartridges, but when the hell am I ever going to talk about this thing? Typically, any game system will use 2 wires, one for the AC adapter and one to plug into the TV. But then there's shitty consoles like this that think they're being cutting edge by combining both the wires into one. In other words, both the video connector and AC adapter plug into the same box, which then plugs into the TV. Again, forcing you to use a box and to unscrew it every time you want to play a different game system. So, technically
Good
speaking,
enough.
the video signal is traveling up this wire, and then the electricity coming from the wall socket is coming back through the same wire. I don't even understand how that works. The only other system I know that does that is the Atari 5200. We all know how much ass that thing sucks. One last thing to say about the RCA Studio 2, it doesn't even have any external controllers. 2 players would have to huddle around and use the keypads. Man, if there was an RCA Studio 1, I'd hate to see it. Next, the Radio Shack TV scoreboard. Looks like a remote for a TV with a Siamese twin. Pull this off, you give it to your friend, say, fuck you, this is all you get. Look at me, I got all this shit. I'm in control, motherfucker. Ugh, why does the ball keep going through the paddle? Serve, reset, reset, serve. I'm playing Ghost Pong. Oh, there's color? All of a sudden the color comes on? The Sears Super Pong Telegame. Simple enough, 2 little knobs for controllers. Works alright, basic Pong. You got 4 different kinds of Pong. Like, what the hell is this? Reverse Pong? Okay, now what's this? Asshole Pong? That's not fair. Color Sport 8. Now this is badass looking. The controllers pop out the sides like that. 2 more controllers plug in, so I guess you could have 4 players.
Got all these switches here, 4 different games, handball, hockey, tennis, skeet. Okay, what's going on? All they do is change color? Hockey's red, tennis is blue. Is that it? I don't even know if this thing's working right. Ricochet. Well, this is excessive. Instead of 2 controllers, let's have 2 consoles. Aside from the clunky design, the game works okay. Except the right controller is a little jittery. That's what happens. The thing about these Pong consoles, and one of the things that makes them so fun to play, is that the paddles move so fluently. It's like an analog control that doesn't exist in games today. The downside is that they break easily, and sometimes you get this jittery movement. This yellow bastard here is called the TV4 4-way video game. Rolls right off your tongue. Well, you already know how I feel about these accursed boxes. How do you think I feel that this one is permanently attached to the fucking game console? These things come from hell. These forks at the end might as well be the devil's pitchfork. One of them's chewed off, so I have no way of connecting it to the TV. And I have no way of replacing the box! You think that makes me happy? It doesn't. Another one I can't play is the Color TV Game 6. It was made by Nintendo in 1977. Pretty cool. It was only released in Japan, which is why it won't work on my American TVs. I've heard something about turning the channel to 95, but none of my TVs go any higher than 82. Apparently it has 6 games, and 2 players would have to grapple for the controls. Nintendo had an updated version with 15 games and detachable controllers. Here's the Volley 6, fresh in the box. Ah, that stained white color, tasteless wood grain. It reeks with age. The controllers dismount, and you got a nice tray to hold your beer. Fuck, almost. The games are pretty typical. It's your average Pong, with one exception. It's got some gun games. I don't have the gun that goes with it, but as you can see on the box, it was some serious shit. This is an example of a Pong console that uses batteries. That's another thing I need to mention. It's always C batteries, but you have the option of using an AC adapter. Now, tell me, what would you rather do? Run to the store to get some C batteries to play your Volley 6, or just plug it in the wall? The only problem is that a lot of these Pong consoles did not include the AC adapter. Now, I don't know if that's because people lose them or they break, but judging from the box and just the fact that batteries are an option, I imagine a lot of times they didn't include it. Now, what are you going to do with batteries? Play it at the fucking beach? Did Pong consoles have some kind of deal with the battery companies to sell more fucking batteries? Alright, this is the Magnavox Odyssey 4000. In between the Odyssey and Odyssey 2, which were cartridge-based, Magnavox made a whole bunch of Pong consoles, naming them after the 1000 digits. The biggest innovation here is that you can move in any direction, rather than just straight up and down. The Fairchild Channel F was another innovation. It's a cartridge-based console, but it includes a great Pong game. The controllers were the most complicated yet, and it takes some time getting used to, but when you do, it's awesome. Rocking the stick moves the paddle in any 4 directions. Twisting and turning changes the angle the paddle's facing. Pushing and pulling moves the goalie up and down. If you play with a friend, it makes for a busy and intense game of Pong. This is the Coleco Telstar. Once again, the controllers are built on the console. There's 3 settings: tennis, hockey, and handball. It's another basic Pong console. At last, we have the Coleco Telstar Arcade. Look at this mess. A steering wheel? A gun? What madman came up with this? Believe it or not, it actually uses cartridges. Have you ever seen a cartridge like this? A silver triangle that snaps onto the top of the console? On one side, you have a regular Pong game. On the other, you have a racing game. The lever controls your speed, and the wheel steers your car vertically on the screen. It's kinda cool. The gun game is like trying to shoot falling stars. It's impossible, but the gun's probably broken, so who knows. Well, that's Pong for you. All these different consoles goes to show how such a simple game could become such a hot-selling franchise. I could see people thinking 30 years ago, wow, Pong, this is where it's at. It ain't gonna get any better than this. Now what's this here, this Xbox 360? Some modern game system? I don't know, maybe it has advanced graphics. Might even be in color. Let's check it out.
Grand Theft Auto 4. What's funny is those Pong consoles are every single Pong console he showed off in that video is probably more reliable than the Xbox 360.
It's a Nintoaster. And yes, it works.
Oh man, we're getting to the end. We're almost at the 100th episode. I'll probably tap out around like 110. The Tiger Electronics one is probably where I would say the cutoff point is. That's like the last good one. And then there's a bunch of crummy ones and, you know, some good ones sprinkled in here and there. But
Are you ready for some action?
I'll probably tap out around Tiger Electronics, and maybe we'll move on to JonTron.
Action 52. Fuck this game. Please do a review of it. You asshole. Thanks. Wow. I guess I gotta do it now. Let's start with the cartridge. It's the freak misfit of the NES library. Games came in gray, black, blue, silver, gold, but clear? You can tell just by looking at it.
I'm thinking about how he took a fucking deal to make a copy of this, to reprint a copy of this game with none of the fixes.
Smells like burning plastic. It's not because of the toaster. The same thing happens if you play it in the top load. Not only is this game crap, but it's crap that comes with a price. $199. That's a lot of money, but there's 52 games. So let me calculate this. $199 divided by 52 equals, well, you gotta pay tax too, so let's just say $4 a game. Wow, what a deal! 52 action-packed games bundled into one cartridge, all for an efficient price. It was every kid's dream. More games! More games! Yeah! Lights, camera, Action 52. Oh! And where did they get the music? Okay, the significance? It takes two. Action 52.
Make your selection now.
Well, let's get this thing started. We're gonna have ourselves a little marathon here and determine if the $199 was worth it.
There we go.
Game number 1, Fire Breather. Okay, well, it's pretty self-explanatory. And would you know this is the only game on the entire cartridge that's 2 players only? Gee, which game should we start with? Well, how about the only game you can't play alone? Well, that's $4 wasted already. Number 2, Star Evil. Who's gonna dodge that? Nobody! Not the first time. You'd have to know, oh, this is gonna be a vertical 2D shooter, and there's gonna be an obstacle immediately at the start of the game. That's one way to get you on your toes. Other than that, it's real easy. As long as you keep firing, none of the enemies come anywhere near you. I guess that makes sense. If I was an intergalactic vacuum cleaner getting shot at, I'd be like, oh, fucking hell, there's a menorah shooting Q-tips. Get out of the way. Not even the first level boss wants to be involved. Sometimes it doesn't show up at all, and you're stuck in a dead end. What happened? Did the game give up? Ugh, that's another $4. Next, number 3, Illuminator. You're not even allowed to see in this game? Real fun idea. For a room that has about 1,000 light bulbs.
This is another one where I can kind of
and they're just
cheat a
decorations.
little bit
Thought you could
because
light a
it's
room
getting
with a
cut
light.
off at the bottom of the
No, you gotta
page.
kill vampires. But after you've killed one, you only get 1 second before the room goes dark again. Who wants to play a game that's pitch black? It's so black I could see my reflection in the screen. The question is, how much more black could this be? And the answer...
This isn't your every ordinary darkness.
You can't go any higher.
This is advanced darkness.
Number 4, G-Force.
Dun, dun,
Or
dun.
just G-Force.
Diddle-oo.
You know what? This would be okay for Atari 2600. The only two controls are move and shoot. This game was made in 1991, the same year Super NES came out. Not to mention, if you want to play a good 2D side-scroller game on the NES, try fucking Life Force. And what is this anyway? An inside-out dolphin shooting at roadkill toads? I don't know, I'm just using my imagination. That's all you have when you play this miserable pile of goat shit. Number 5, Ooze. Oh, wow, a title screen? Really? Oh my god, it's... Shippickle, 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 shippickle. Alrighty then, okay. Well, this is the first game that uses the B button for jumping. Any gamer who grew up with Super Mario Brothers expects A to jump, but that's the least of her worries. To jump over a hole, you have to tap the B button and then press over. If you're holding the B button like you normally would, it locks you vertically until you let go. It's an anomaly of game programming. You know what's really weird? Whenever you restart the menu, it always starts at Ooze. Is that the programmer's personal recommendation? Well, so far, every one of these games is a bomb. But out of 52, I'm sure that eventually we'll find one that's decent. I hope. Number 6, Silver Sword. Well, green, green, and more green. What is this? A cabbage patch on a golf course infested with killer scrotums? This is a disgrace to the NES. The same platform that brought us games like Legend of Zelda. Silver Sword. The sword isn't even silver. Maybe it's corroded. Number 7, Critical BP, or Critical Bypass. Oh, now it's spelled with a Y? Oh, that's dreadful. It's like an optical illusion. Well, that's pretty bad when the game causes eye strain and you can't even fucking look at it. What is this anyway? A pogo ball and a Segway shooting at birthday presents? Ugh, Critical Bypass. It's critical that you bypass this game. Number 8, Jupiter Scope. Nice, another space shooter. This time you're a dead whale shooting at flaming condoms. That's what it looks like. The screen never moves. It's like Space Invaders, except without many invaders. Half the time, you're just sitting around waiting. Come on, give me something to shoot at. Losing at this game is impossible. Just hold down the fire button and move back and forth. Okay, what's next? Number 9, Alfredo, or Alfred and the Fedek. Yeah, Fedek. You never heard of Fedek?
Fedek X.
What happened? Where's the fucking game?
Now I want to know what the fuck that game is. Let's see. See if we can't pull it up. Oh, that is a weird looking game. Okay. Alright. I don't know what I expected after how many fucking years ago this game came out.
Well, there's no game here. What happened? Did the programmers pass out, or did they just figure nobody would check all 52 games? Well, that's $4 wasted, but I guess I can't say I'm really too excited over playing a game called Alfredo, also known as Alfred and the Fedek.
Number 10, Operation Full Moon. Now, that's puke green if I ever saw it. The nauseating...
Oh, my face is starting to hurt. I'm getting tired.
Makes me think that this game ate Silver Sword and barfed it out. Number 11, Dam Busters. Those damn busters. Well, it should have been called Alien Beaver Tomato Fight. That's all it is. You're a beaver shooting tomatoes and navigating through a maze. Oops, dead end. What the shit? You can't go back? I'm trapped? You're shitting me. This game is shitting me. Number 12, Thrusters. Another space shooter. Well, it's the same game as before, just different graphics. Where do they come up with these objects? I'm running out of imagination here. I can't decipher anything. Especially when the game starts having a fucking seizure. Number 13, Haunted Hill. Wow, a human being. I can't believe it actually looks like something. Man, her boobs are bigger than her head. It's a shitty side-scroller with the same bad controls as Ooze. Sadly, it's the best game so far. Out of the way, you fucking ghosts. Here comes Mrs. Tits, jumping like she's on the moon. Die, you onion-faced balloon floating, thing. I died by touching the air? Number 14, Chill Out. I wish I could chill out. This is horrendous. This one's basically an Eskimo snowball massacre. Climb down shits and ladders and throw snowballs. What's this? I died in midair? That seems to be a theme we're running into here. This game doesn't even care. It sucks. Gee, how much money do we waste so far? Like $56, I think? It's already exceeded the average price of a Nintendo game. Number 15, Sharks. Yeah, sharks. Sometimes sharks. Most of the time not. Well, you're stuck on this one screen, but you sure have full reign. You can swim through the ocean floor. And that's all it is. Just hope for sharks to come and shoot them. Number 16, Megalonia. Another space shooter? Flying through McDonald's arches? No thanks. Number 17, French Baker. Oh man, you're a chef and the kitchen is really getting out of hand. Everything's trying to kill you. Hoagies, envelopes, and dog nuts. And what do? Hit them with your rolling pin. And don't drop down, you'll disintegrate. That's always nice. Number 18, Atmosquake. Oh, another space shooter? I pass. I'm only up to number 19? Jeez. Fuck. Number 19, Meong. What the fuck? Okay, get this. You move from square to square, hoping that the next square won't make you explode. So it's like a memory game that can only be done with trial and error. Good lord. Number 20, Space Dreams. Oh my, what's this gonna be? Why, of course, another space shooter. This time, you're a pacifier shooting at
okay, time for
dolls,
face later.
rabbits, and safety pins. Safety pins as enemies in a video game. Where do they come up with this stuff? Gee, what kind of enemy could I have for this game? I have 32 games left I have to program, so I have to hurry up. Ah, safety pin. That'll be perfect. Next game. Number 21, Streamers. You're a clown climbing up platforms like Spider-Man. Ooh, a rabbit in a hat. What does that do? Nothing at all. A bag of money? How about that? It turns into a green, frowning face? Is that supposed to teach you a lesson? That taking money is greedy? No, I think I'm reading way too deep into it. Oh, then the game crashes. Number 22, Spreadfire. What is this? They should have called this Shooter Games 52. This time, you're a lobster. You don't go anywhere, and half the time, there's nothing to shoot at. These kind of games must have been the easiest to design. Make a black background, covered in dots, and call it space. You know what? It's getting old. Number 23, Bubblegum Rosie, or Bubblegum Rossi. Yay! I've always wanted to play a game where I'm a little girl shooting bubbles. Wait a minute, you can't even kill people? Well, what do you expect? They're bubbles. You can jump on the enemies. Or wait, can you? And falling in spikes doesn't hurt you. This game has no rules. Number 24, Micro Mike. Wow, look out, Micro Mike, you're going too fast. Even if you have the quickest reflexes, you'll never be able to avoid the walls or other random objects that stand in your way. If only Micro Mike would slow the fuck down. Number 25, Underground. Well, at least it looks like Underground. Wait a minute, this guy can fall down 50 feet and survive, but if he touches the mushrooms, he spins around like a bowling pin and dies? And what am I supposed to do here? What do I do? Wow, 25 shitty games, and still going. This is an endurance, man. I've never played such a huge compilation of crap in my life. Was the whole idea to make so many shitty games that there'd be no more shitty games left to make? Out of all these, there's gotta be at least one that's tolerable. Number 26, Rocket Jock, or Rocket Jockey. You're a cowboy on a rocket with a lasso. If you actually used the lasso, that would be kind of cool. But I guess they figured they didn't have enough games that shoot. Yeah, kill those cows. Turn them into a bowl of cereal with a puppy dog. Number 27, Non-Human. Well, isn't that an appropriate title? Everything about these games are non-human, except for that very human-like face. Or are they aliens? What are these for? Other than the faces just being the area where you die, which takes up half the screen. You know you're playing a great game when you can't even jump over a hole. You can try all day, but you'll always fall down into the purple dimension of green faces. Number 28, Crybaby. By now you'd be crying, so it's like the game is mocking.
I'm crying myself right now, but for an entirely different reason.
Adult, baby, adult. Then what about him, huh? What the hell's going on here? Why is the floor look like ice cube trays? What are you attacking with? Why do you die when you fall off the furniture? Why? What? Why? Number 29, Slashers. Slashers? I thought it'd be like a horror game. Instead, it's a poor man's version of Double Dragon. Saying that is being extremely generous. It makes bad dudes look like a masterpiece. At least the backgrounds change. What are these, beer steins? You're not even allowed to walk past anybody. When an enemy appears, you stop dead in your tracks and can't move until you have a punching match to the death. There's zero strategy. You just mash buttons. And what are these, hookers? I guess this guy doesn't understand the concept of a hooker. You're supposed to fuck her, not fuck her up. Die, boob lady. Number 30, Crazy Shuffle. Could the characters be any smaller? You're a tiny, indescribable object shooting tiny dots at other tiny objects. Sounds like fun? Well, guess what? It isn't. Number 31, Fuzz Power. Well, fuzz is right. You're some guy with a big nose, big feet, and lots of fuzz. You roll around fighting blow dryers and hair combs. What's that, popcorn? Oh no, I'm getting hit. I'm losing my fuzz. Now I'm naked. Yeah. Whoever came up with this is an asshole.
They probably got so fucking... They probably, like, smoked, like, so much weed during, like, the 4 guys that made this during college. They were just, like, got completely fucking baked and worked on this garbage project that they're getting paid nothing to do, essentially.
The targets never disappear until you hit them. There's no time limit. You never run out of ammo, and you can't die. Which means the game will never end. Fortunately, you can go back to the menu by pausing the game and hitting select. Except for this game. The one fucking game that doesn't end crashes when you try to quit. Reset. Number 33, Lollipop. Are you kidding me? Why not a sword or a machine gun? Who wants a fucking lollipop?
You know, sometimes you just gotta step back and, like, look at what you made.
On the
pad?
Without
No, you
fiddling
jump.
with it,
Who the
without
hell jumps up a ladder? And you know what?
without
The
like
controls on
over
these
analyzing it.
games
You
are
just
so
gotta
bad,
step
I
back and just
forgot
kind of
that
like
B is
take it
jump
in
and A is attack. I've been playing for so
with an
long,
open
I've sort of
mind.
adapted to its crap factor. I swear, next time I play a regular platformer, I'm gonna try jumping with B. Number 34, Evil Empire. Oh, game sprites so small you need a magnifying glass? That seems to be a theme here too. Look at that. There's some crazy shit going on over there. I want to join the party. Oops, dying in midair. I can understand dying because you're jumping from too high, but can't they at least make you die when you hit the ground? Number 35, sombreros. Well, I guess you're wearing a sombrero, shooting at vacuum cleaners on the street. Not much to say. I've lost all hope. 52 games, they all probably suck. I could think of some pretty bad games, like Little Red Hood. That's a horrible game, but at least it's one horrible game, not 52. You know what's more fun than playing Action 52? 52 card pickup. You know how you play that? Pick up the cards. Number 36, Storm Over the Desert. Ooh, another title screen. So you're an army tank shooting at other army tanks, which happen to be pink. Also, there's no way to die. Anything you touch will explode. Those pink tanks are fucking pussies. What the hell? A giant Saddam Hussein? How did they fuck up the scale this bad? The soldiers aren't giant, so why Saddam? Now I'm getting tired of this. Can someone at least try to kill me? Hey you, get over here. Pause and select. Get me out of here. Well, at least we're in the home stretch, the third and final menu screen. Another thing that gets incredibly annoying, whenever you die or reset, you have to go back to the first menu every single time. So it's hard to keep track where you left off. Number 37, Mash Man. Well, Mash Man looks like Fuzz Power with clothes on, jumping on eyeballs in front of Legoland. Ugh, next game. Number 38, They Came. They came from where? From space? No, that can't be. Ugh, next. Number 39, Laser League. Well, I'm glad they spelled laser with a Z, because that's how you say it. You don't say laser. By the way, horizontal 2D space shooter. Next. Number 40, Billy Bob. This is different. It's like Indiana Jones, except it's Billy Bob. I'm kind of stunned that this game has some fluent animation here. Of course, I should have learned. In Action 52, you cannot jump down. You will hit the air so hard you will die. You can't jump to the ledge either. That doesn't work. And if you stand there too long, you die. So how do you get over? I don't know. Second screen of the game, and it's a dead end. Number 41, City of Doom. You're climbing the tallest building in the world while the tenants throw bowling balls at you. That's it. It goes on and on and on. How tall is this building? It must lead into outer space. Oh no, please, please not space. Number 42, Bits and Pieces. Ooh, a monster game. You're a guy in a cemetery jumping over monsters. That's it. You jump and jump and jump. You know what would be nice? An attack? Or how about a health bar? How about anything like a normal fucking game? What were they thinking? Number 43, Beeps and Blips. You're a shape shooting at other shapes. What are these? Reject sprites from other video games thrown together? Number 44, Manchester. A guy jumping on music boxes, punching in the air. I don't get it. Number 45, Boss. Who would think boss means a frog running around with a gun getting ambushed by falling bombs? That's what they should have called it, bombs. There's no way to avoid them. If you go too early, the bomb gets you. If you go too late, the next one gets you. Number 46, Dead Ant. You're an ant trying to make other ants dead ants, like the Pink Panther. Dead ant, dead ant, dead ant, dead ant, dead ant, dead ant. But if the ants make it to the bottom of the screen, you're fucked, because you can only move left and right. What makes this ant different from the rest? Oh, it's pink. And anything pink in this game sucks.
Number 47, Hambo. A pig version of Rambo? No, that would have been too clever. It's just a guy jumping over 8 balls and shit. Or trying to jump over. This is fucking horse shit. How'd they fuck up the jumping control so bad? Have the programmers ever played another video game? Moving on. Number 40, Time Warp Tickers. You're a pair of fingers in checkerboard land with upside-down doors. What kind of drugs were they on? Was this game even made by a human being? Time? When you kill things, it says time? What does that mean? Time to play another fucking game? Number 49, Jigsaw. It crashed. Oh, thank God. Next game. Number 50, Ninja Assault. Another beat 'em up, if you even call it that. No strategy, just mash buttons. Number 51, Robbie the Robot. More like
Robbie
with a
Rotten.
wearing Bart Simpson look-alike in a blue dress. Guess how this game works? You move to the right and shoot. That's all. Nothing can stop you. You could literally play this game with your eyes closed. Until the second level, when there's holes. Now you're screwed. I can't believe they sold this shit fest for $199. That's about how much it costs for a video game console, pretty much. You could take $199, stand on a bridge, and just throw it all away. You'd rather do anything than spend it on a broken down, dysfunctional disaster of video game programming. With games that crash, hideous jumping control, random characters, microscopic sprites, a marathon of mediocre space shooters, dying in midair, problems with proportion, misleading titles, misleading power-ups, embarrassing weapons, seizure-inducing backgrounds, lack of enemies, games you can't win, games you can't lose, games that make no sense whatsoever, shitty graphics, shitty music, shitty menus, and a fuck ton of other things. It should have been illegal for them to sell this rotten shitload of putrid fuck for any price. I feel humiliated to live on the same planet as someone who designed an electronic abomination of this magnitude. Couldn't they have tried making one good game as opposed to 52 horrible games? Quality over quantity. That's our lesson here. Well, there's one game left, so it has one last chance to redeem itself. Could this be the one that all the effort went into? Could there be a cherry on top this shit sundae?
Oh boy.
We can only hope.
Oh boy. Fuck.
He's gonna take you back to the past to play the shitty games that suck ass. He'd rather have a buffalo. Take a dive,
Well,
be a dump in his
it would appear that I'm out of gas for the night. I do not have the patience to figure out how to fix this fucking face. Clearly.
Last episode, we looked at the masterpiece of shit that is Action 52. Now, we're looking at the last game, number 52, Cheetah-Man. This is like the feature presentation. There's a comic book that came with the game, and plans for a whole line of Cheetah-Man action figures and merchandise. They must have spent all their focus on this one game, so this one's gotta be good. Right? It sucks! Monkey butts like all the fucking rest! Okay. Let's go. Well, it's not as bad as the other games. For one thing, it actually has a story. The action game master was at home playing his video game when suddenly an arm reached out of the TV and pulled him inside. Yo, watch the gonads. When he looked up, he saw 3 gigantic yellow bodies. It was the Cheetah Men. Oh, really? He began to explain. The Cheetah Men told of the enemies here in the game world. Don't worry, we will fight for you. The Cheetah Men ran off. And now, the Cheetah Men. What kind of story is that? The Cheetah Men are fighting for some gamer that got sucked into the TV, whom we never refer to again? What's this, a crotch burglar? Yeah, burglar's your crotch. Oh yeah, the enemies in this game are so inspired. They even resort to recycling characters from other Action 52 games, like Boob Lady and Saddam Hussein. Dude, think about it. A giant cheetah jumping over Saddam Hussein. Whoa, I never thought I'd see that. That's weird. Whenever you hit somebody, the music pauses for a brief moment. As far as the gameplay goes, there's not a whole lot to say. You just move right and kill everything in sight. What the hell? I can't go up? I can't go right either? Oh, you gotta go right before you can go up. That makes a whole lot of sense, just because the screen didn't move all the way. Now what's this? I can't walk past a hole? Even though I'm as high up as the game will allow. If you can only pass the hole from below, why is there such a big space up there? Not to mention, why couldn't the cheetah fall down the hole instead of exploding into 4 glowing orbs? Oh, and guess how the level ends? Like that. It just stops. What more do you expect? Welcome to the most awesome glitch of all. I'm jumping perpetually in midair. Yeah, I could do this all day. That's no problem. Oh, what the fuck? I went through the top of the screen and came out the bottom and died? You might say it's my fault for cheating, but come on, when I fall down, I don't drop through the ceiling and live. Besides, there's more enemies in the air than on the ground, so I don't recommend it. In level 3, you're a different Cheetah Man. This is where the game starts to get hard. First of all, to die, all it takes is a few hits. Then because this big tub of fuck is such a large target, you can't duck either, so there's not much you can do to avoid all these projectiles. The jumping glitch only gets you so far. Fuck. Fuck. Oh no! Wait a minute. A 1-up?
Okay. I'm done for the night.
Me to the next level?
Oy, man.
Aw, kick fucking...
My ass kinda got kicked tonight. I'm not gonna lie. I have had a pretty rough night tonight. Hopefully I can come back and fix some of this tomorrow and then move on. The rest of this page doesn't seem super complicated, except for this one right here that I gotta fix the arm. But that can be for not tonight. I'm gonna go away now. Have a good night, guys.